TV, veg out.
That was me on Sunday. I'm still paying for my quad session on Sunday today, and it's actually worse today than it was yesterday. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Like they were cramping on Sunday night. And then yesterday they were just sore. You're just sore but not really stiff. Nah, today they're just so fucking stiff I can't even move. I literally it took me like 5 minutes to get out of bed this morning because I had to roll 3 times and hope I land on my feet because if I try to bend my knees, we're done.
Yep. Yeah. I'm one of those people that gets really sore myself. It is funny how sometimes you have training partners that you're like, man, dude, I'm still feeling this 4 days later. They're like, really? I didn't feel it. And it's you both went equally hard.
Right.
And it's some people just, and it's same drugs or whatever, they just don't get that level of soreness. It's crazy.
Yeah. They recover a lot quicker and a lot easier. It's fucking strange. Well, I did, I actually showed this to Nate Spear. We got the same that I carry in hack squat. This got the 45-degree platform. It's a 30-degree hack squat. Okay. I had the gym owner build a platform. So if you look at it like this, one of those prime platforms that goes up against it and butts up against it like this, so I can put my feet on that and get the total heel elevation. And I was doing hacks with that and literally getting my knees almost all the way to touch the back platform. Yeah. Because I was going so far forward on those without my heels coming up. And I did a couple working sets with that, and holy shit, did that just literally destroy me. Everything I did after that was terrible because that just destroyed me.
Have you seen the, I think it's Watson makes it. It's the hydraulic hack squat where you can adjust the angle even mid-set. So if you wanted to start with something like this, you burn out the failure, and then the buddy cranks it, and it goes down to here to make it a little easy.
Yep.
It's intense. And you just put one plate on each side when it's almost all the way up, and it feels like 5 or 6 plate hack squat at a normal 45. Right. It's
it's like that. Well, it's like that Cybex hack squat that's literally 75 degrees.
Yes.
That thing. If you can do 2 plates on that, you're doing something because that thing is fucking ridiculous.
I got
handles by the side, right?
Before on that. On Saturday, I found one. My buddy, who's a client, built one. That's this gym here. He rebuilt it from scratch, a one from the 80s. And so I drove out there the day that he made it. And we did leg press, leg extension, leg press, and then the Luke combo meal. And we got up to 4 plates for 15, bottomed it out so the plates actually hit the floor. And then we're going to have to put the fucking thing up on platforms so the plates don't hit the floor. But I can get so deep in that thing that I hit the floor on the Cybex. And I've got 10 with 5 plates. So the goal, and I'm going back there tomorrow. So the goal for tomorrow is 6. Is 1,100 for 20 on leg press, then trying to get 5 plates for 15 on the hack squat. The Cybex one that you're talking about.
Yeah, that thing sucks. Yeah.
Because
all right, so
you saw the video with the assault, and my butt's not even hitting 90 degrees on that Arsenal. But with the Cybex, you can get way fucking deeper than the Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah, these with that platform there, I can actually my knees were coming almost all the way forward to the platform. I got it on IG, and my ass is literally on the back of my calves. I'm all the way down, and my feet are flat on the platform. And it was just intense because every one you can just feel your quad stretch at the bottom, and then you come back up, and it just cramps on the way up, and it was really nice. And I'm paying for it still today, and probably will be tomorrow still.
Do we all train legs today?
I was Sunday.
I have legs
quad Sunday.
Just me.
You did too?
Yeah.
What'd you do? Nelson?
This is kind of a new start this we've been deloading for the past 2 weeks, and this week we did warm up with extension, leg curls, all that good stuff, and then Smith squats, 2 top sets, done. Leg press, 2 top sets, high rep, then unilateral leg press, and then we went ham on adductors. We're done. That was it. And it's funny is usually my workouts are 6 to 8 sets. It's not, it's not a long drawn out thing. I was just thinking about this because you were talking about like just being like wrecked. The sorest I've been in like 5 years. I went and trained legs with AJ when I was at Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
He does so much volume.
I've heard that actually.
Dude.
About AJ Sims?
Yeah. And
yeah,
so
I've heard it.
he's like, hey man, it's like, come on, let's just train legs. I'm like, all right, cool, that'd be fun. And I went in there, like they have such cool machines at this sweet gym he goes to. And like I'm like, go to failure, pass failure. And he's like, all right, we're gonna do that 5 times. I'm like, oh my God.
I can't.
You're taking plates off.
So,
like, think about it. Is it failure if you can do 5 sets of that? Really?
Oh, it's just like my performance just went all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You know, like I think you got like 1 good shot, maybe 2 if you're doing a back off with a lighter load.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know,
it's like a hip press, really nice leg press. I don't know who makes it, but it's called a hip press. It's a black and silver machine. It's at that rivals.
It's not the Cybex one, right?
No, it's not made by Cybex. It's made by a weird company, but it's at that Rival Athletics gym in Kissimmee.
The one that Nick Walker uses in all his videos.
Yeah, that one.
I've used one before.
So like a horizontal, is it like a horizontal one?
Yep.
It's like a horizontal one with a pendulum.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's super nice. So it's like we started off with like prime extensions and then over and over and over, and then he had me doing sissy squats, superset. I'm like, good God, like you're gonna kill me, man. And then it was like 5 sets, like past failure, because he's over here like pulling up the sled, and I'm like, I'm done, bro. And
you're curling this.
By the time, like, because we did something else because someone was using the machine, and we got at the end it was like hack squats. Oh, we did Nordic leg curl and then hack squats. And by the time we do the hack squats, I'm just like falling to the bottom.
No, I'll do 8 working sets and I'm done, and I'll be destroyed. I'm good.
That wrecks me. I mean, like heck, I'm sore from today already. Like where it starts coming on. Like it's already started to come on, and I know like tomorrow I'll be pretty messed up. But I don't know. It makes me wonder though, because if you can recover from that, I bet you'll be.
Yeah. Well, I think you can learn, like your body can adapt to recover from it like over time. You know what I mean? Like day 1, you're fucking wrecked.
Right.
But if you did that 10 weeks in a row, I bet by week 10, your body would recover like you do now.
I guess I'm more talking about people who can recover from anything.
You mean like pros?
Like
like most, like Phil Heath or like.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do.
Those guys who just go to town and it's like it doesn't matter. Yeah. I guess that was my fantasy for a moment. Yes. It's like
kind of like that actually. Nate Spears actually kind of like that. Like you can throw low volume or high volume at him, he recovers and he's ready to go hard the next day. Like it's yeah, exactly.
Wait till he's 42 years old. He won't be doing that anymore.
Remember though, he's only been doing this like 5 years.
I know.
So it's like he's got another. He's young in training age. He's got another.
He's got another gear yet. He can go.
Exactly.
How old is Nate?
Nate's 33 now. 33 or 30. Yeah, 33. But he didn't start he'd only been training for a year before we hooked up, and that was 5-6 years ago. So
yeah,
I mean, like when we first started, he came and joined me for a leg workout. That's kind of how I always like gauge like local clients. I'm like, all right, come do legs with me. Let's see how you're at, you know. And he drove like 2 hours to come train legs with us, and like he worked out hard, but like he could only squat like 275 maybe for like, you know, a hard set of 8 to 10 perfect form. Well, now you guys see he's doing like 5.5 plates for like same 8 to 10, you know what I mean? So, but his trajectory was like this, like over 6 months, he was like 200 pounds weaker than me. And then within like 6 months, he was like stronger than me. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
It's funny. But it's like mentally, he's so clicked on.
Yeah.
And so he's one of those guys who's like, I'm sure if like whatever, a month in, if you're like, I need you to go to where you can't get up. It's just like, oh yeah, done.
Over. Yeah. Oh, not a problem.
And then be walking around the next day, fine.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
Yeah. All right. So this was a last minute thing because I had a cancellation this week on the show, so I actually moved it back to next week. So I figured why not see if I can get you guys on and we can just have a little roundtable discussion. What came to mind was because I had seen a bunch of shit today online that just pissed me off. So things that piss us off about the fitness industry. and I quick threw up a post, and I got like 3 or 4 questions in like an hour from people.
Cool.
So we'll start with those. These are pretty good ones, actually. I didn't have any questions. They're just things that piss these people off, so we can just discuss them. People who talk about winning a show or road to pro, but can't stick to a diet for a week. Who wants to take what's one and like we have any like instances where we've seen this that we want to talk about?
This is perfect. So I'm talking to this person and on the phone, and she's all like, I just feel like I should have a coach that has at least a master's degree, because how could someone know how to do as good of a job if they're not as educated? I'm like, what? Why are you upset? And she's like, drinking wine and eating chocolate-covered strawberries. And so I didn't even go there. And then the next day I was like, you know what really would help your coach, no matter who the fuck he is if you're not drinking alcohol and eating chocolate. You'd be amazed at how effective the diet can be if you actually eat it.
Right.
Because you don't need a specialty degree to put chicken, rice, and broccoli for X amount of grams, Y amount of times a day.
Right.
I was like, with my fucking 4 degrees, my first diet was 10 chicken breasts a day, a third of a cup of oatmeal, and 2 packets of Splenda. It's like, it sucked. I was shredded. It doesn't fucking have to be smart. It just has to be brutal.
It just has to work.
Champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries is the classic example of how effective and entitled the bikini population is. And this is literally what's happening. It's like, you can't make this shit up. You're literally eating champagne and strawberries, but your coach isn't good enough.
I'm sure that wasn't on her diet either.
Well, I think most of the good coaches out there probably have no background educationally in dietetics, nutrition, even exercise phys. I mean, I know there are a lot that do. Like I have 2 degrees in nutrition and dietetics, but I tell everyone, because they're like, "Oh, you're so educated on it. You must be great." It's like, yeah, honestly, like I think I learned more in my time from high school to like when I actually started doing nutrition in college. Like just so you said, eating like 10 chicken breasts a day and 5 sweet potatoes and measuring, you know what I mean? Like I learned more about dieting from there than I did in the nutrition classes.
Well,
it doesn't take a rocket scientist.
No, the people with the fucking degrees would tell you not to do what we do on something and go that low with the calories. They'd be like, no, that's way too few calories. You shouldn't be doing that. Well, yeah, but we got to get shredded, so we got to do what we got to do.
At that point, actually, I failed an exam because the exam was. The teacher gave us a situation in like one of our nutrition classes and like, okay, so-and-so needs to lose 20 pounds, like show the diet that is going to do that in the exercise program. I'm like, sweet. I just did a bodybuilding show. I was in college. I just did a bodybuilding show. I'm going to write up exactly what I did. And I turned it in. And she was like, this is absolutely wrong. There's no way this would work at all. And I'm like, and this is of course before Instagram, because this is back in 2004 or 3 or whatever. So I didn't have a cell phone back then. So I couldn't be like, oh yeah, like what are these, Yeah. But it was just like from the educational side, just like kind of like talking down to me, like, oh, that wouldn't work. You you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, well, I just did this for the last 20 weeks and I did lose 20 pounds. And like, those are like little fish gills on my ass. So,
right. Apparently it works.
And she was fat too. So
of course, like, that's they always are, right? They have
they're always fat women that are the nutritionists at the hospital or the registered dietitian. Or they're people like Chris Tuttle or Dave Reed who are like IFBB pros and say, yep, nothing that you learn in school is applicable to actual practical fat loss.
Didn't Eric Fankhauser have like a degree in nutrition as well?
I don't know if he did or not.
I feel like I remember something like worked in a hospital or something like that. And like, it's funny. It's like, can you imagine like who rolls around to your room to figure something out? It's like Eric Fankhauser. It's like, good God.
Oh, yeah.
Is he wearing shorts? Calves hanging out?
For Chris, it's like you can even tell from his face that the guy is lean all the time now.
Right.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I've seen this particular say pet peeve of people like winning a show or road to pro. And it's always the bikini girl who's done one fucking show, or she's dieting for her first show and it's like road to pro, and I'm like, You're 3 weeks into a fucking diet for your first show. You've only been training for 6 months. You shouldn't even be doing a show because you haven't built up enough base to even have anything to diet off, right? And we're already gonna we're gonna be pro. And then when they take like 8th place out of 9, it's the judge's fucking fault.
Well, it's funny. I usually, especially when it's like that early, I don't usually see it as disrespectful, even though it kind of is. It's like it's just an ignorance thing. It's like
right.
You just don't have a clue what all this takes. It's like after you hit that first show and you get stomped, most people do. It's like it kind of makes you reevaluate. It's like, oh, this is way harder than I thought. And then you like, especially like, I don't know, for bikini, it's a little harder to gauge because let's say it's like from like beginning of bikini to professional bikini, conditioning's way different. But like the actual size, you might put on 15 pounds of muscle. It's like if you were already in the gym, it might be 10. It's not like a lot. It's just in the right spots.
Mm-hmm.
With a bodybuilder, it takes like 10 years to build a good bodybuilder. So it's like a lot of these people who at least, aren't delusional as far as bodybuilders can see like, hey, okay, I'm 155 when I'm lean now. At my frame, I probably need to be 198. Okay, so it's like, dude, that's going to take a while. And then to be like a good 198, well, everyone's dropping down from 210 to 198. So really, I have to be a heavyweight. It's like, okay. Then it's like you kind of realize like, oh, road to pro, that doesn't happen next year. This is going to be like an 8-year process.
Right.
Even then, it's like, dude, how many badass light heavies roll into a show and we're like, dude, that guy is like Mike Charles. Awesome.
Yep. Always.
Peeled.
He'll get 3rd place in 2016, and then he'll be like second call out 3 years later, and be like, he's improved.
He was way better, way better, way harder, everything. And so it's like, and sometimes it's just like, there's nothing you can do. This is just like bodybuilding's hard, So respect to those who. And I feel like, and once you start hitting a couple of shows, it's like you become more respectful to those who have kind of put in their time, And when you're a first-year competitor, especially someone who might not have to gain that much muscle, so your body looks a lot similar to that other body, or let's say you're a bikini girl and your coach might also be a bikini competitor. It's like, oh, she weighs 145, I weigh 138. Okay, well, we're probably pretty. It's like it starts that delusion quickly,
Yeah.
Where you just think you're going to jump.
Right. Her 145 looks a whole lot better than your 138.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a night and day difference,
It's I don't know. It's so easy when you're like, probably even has to do with today, right? Because it's like Instagram. I filter my pictures. I do this. Only put up the best angles. It's like so you start thinking about your best angles only. You don't start thinking about, oh, dude, this back shot sucks. Yep. So it makes it easier to start like comparing to the other people. I don't know, but I that whole like road to pro thing. I guess I just don't see it as much with like bodybuilders.
What my favorite is there's like, let's say you got some guy and he puts these pictures up and they're really good lighting, really good poses. Let's say it's a man, so he doesn't even use a filter, whatever. And he like looks so good on Instagram. And you take your progress pictures in the worst lighting and at the worst angle, so you look your worst. So your coach knows what type of shit show your body is. Right? You don't even post the fucking things. You just send your coach your progress pic and like, look at this, polish this turd that is me. And then you go to that gym, that dude's there, you're like, hey, let's pose. And then you you have someone take pictures of you guys hitting poses next to each other. And in that lighting, doing actual posing, it's a totally different story. It's like you're like 50 to 100 pounds bigger than the guy. And like you didn't expect that to be that way because they present themselves so good and you're going out of your way to look your absolute fucking worst. So you're constantly trying harder to be better.
Yep.
And you look at people like James Hollingshead, who's covered in hair. Right, he doesn't tan. He's covered in hair. You look like Dr. Mike Israetel, who've got like werewolf patches on the back of his shoulders and shit like that. And it's like these guys are not trying, but when it comes to rolling into a show, they're both strong as fuck. And then obviously Hollingshead won 2 for 2 last year. And he was just Luke's training partner before that point. So I think it's funny because I've never heard a bodybuilder complain like, oh, it's such a bullshit, I'm not pro yet. But it's always the bikini girls who, like, they have 1 year. And when I say bikini girls, I could include men's physique too. So it's the swimsuit.
I was just going to say.
It's the swimsuit divisioners that are like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Why am I not pro? Ha, ha, ha. And then it's just like, then they think like, what do you mean you won North American, you didn't turn pro? It's like, just because you win and as a bodybuilder doesn't mean they give you the pro card.
Yeah.
Oh, in my class, it's top 5 at junior nationals that gets a pro card. I was like, that's why you guys, no one gives a fuck about you and you make no money. It's like nobody's ever hiring the men's physique guy or the bikini girl for online coaching or in-person coaching or to change their tire. Like, no one gives a shit. Could you put a large T-shirt on those dudes and they look like everyone else at Hollister?
True.
Hold on, wait. Two things. So one, you said I've never heard a bodybuilder say I should be pro yet. I have absolutely heard that.
Yeah,
I can think of 2 people specifically who have said that to me, and I'm like, really?
I can think of. We're probably thinking of something.
But we're the like top 3 of the national show year after year after year and get.
I'm not talking about the
down.
Jordan Janowitzes who literally get top 4 or 5 for 10 years straight. I think that's a legitimate gripe. It's like, yeah, dude, you should be pro.
Thanks,
CJ. But like,
Jordan's good.
Thanks, CJ.
What was that?
Oh, I said with Jordan, it's like he's good. He just has to. I mean, it's just like he has to keep coming. It's like, I mean, there's been a couple of years where it's just like, damn, bro, it's like just someone was a little better,
It's like the Nick Walker thing is like, why the fuck did it take Nick Walker so long to turn pro? It's not his fault. It's just when he does, he's a superstar.
There was better people there every time until this last time, and the difference between, because I know, like, some people don't think Zach should have beat him. I was sitting in the front row next to Nick's parents. Zach should have beat him. Zach looked fantastic. But this year, Nick stomped his class. Like, he looked really good. Like, it wasn't like, and this is like, everyone's good in that class. The top 5.
The top 5. Yeah, first call was good.
Yeah, it was all legitimate.
There's no one in the second call out, but first call out was like, wow, you can move some people around.
Right.
Except for
if you didn't know who was competing and you just showed a picture of anyone from the top 5 and you're like, this guy won the class, any one of them, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That guy's awesome. But hold on, you did mention something about money, and I think that's funny because that's been coming up over and over and over about how people should be paid more than or who should have equal pay. And I agree.
Not a fucking chance.
So
nope.
So it's funny because mostly who complains about it is women's physique.
Yep.
And in my opinion, they should make as much as 212. And that's as high as it should go because in my opinion, they're equivalent. They shouldn't make as much as open because they're not bodybuilders. They don't put butts in seats. But even beyond that, in my opinion, as far as open bodybuilders go, they die 30 years before everyone else. This is an occupational hazard. They should get paid more money because they're 300 pounds for your entertainment. Now, since you are like 170 in the off season and you get to diet down and you're comfortable and we know you'll hit 60, perhaps the guy who it's a little risky, he might not make it to 50. Let's give him a little more money while he's with us. It's a little ridiculous to expect people to be paid $400,000 when you weigh 150 pounds on stage.
Well, it's simple as who puts the butts in the seats. It's called the Mr. Olympia competition.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
you can get rid of every other division, and I think all of us are still going to watch. Most of the people that watch are still going to tune in to watch and buy that show.
Yeah, I think they should take all of the physique and all of the women and put them on a different day, and watch how no one shows the fuck up.
If you sold tickets separately, honestly, it could happen. If you sold the tickets like this is for 212, this is for bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding, and then you did everything else, honestly, it's like there would be a lot more friends and family on one side.
I was gonna say.
Because I mean, especially if you're splitting it up and you're giving me a cheaper ticket to go to just bodybuilding, like, come on, it's like I'll have people there, and I'm still like men's bodybuilding is like what I'm there for, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, it's what are they showing up to watch? You're showing up to watch bodybuilding. Then that's why, like in Michigan, in the last year, they end up having to, and they're going to do it again in the foreseeable future. We're starting with bodybuilding, right? Bodybuilding, fitness would start, then bodybuilding would go on, and then it would go everybody else. And you would watch at the prejudging, you would watch the bodybuilding go, and then you would watch after bodybuilders got off, everybody fucking leave.
Well,
there'd be 40 people left in the venue, and there'd be fucking 300 people outside talking with all the bodybuilders who just got off stage.
Yeah,
and that would be it. So they put bikini on first to keep people there. So that alone should tell you.
It used to be the other way around. It used to be like one bikini girl would be there, and every girl that is in her salon, and her mom, and her grandma, and her boyfriend, and they all have the shirts on, and they're so supportive, and like rah rah rah. And then it's like there'd be fucking 700 people, and then 600 would leave after bikini was done. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I think the novelty of bikini is gone, and no one gives a fuck.
I think for local shows, it's the same thing. It's like it's mostly like the female divisions, bikini, whatever. But that's just because they sell way better. They're a way better investment. Bodybuilders are the worst investment. They don't post that they're doing the show. They just show up and then they leave. They might not bring anybody. Literally, like for my last show, I didn't freaking tell anybody what I was doing. I just drove up there. I went by myself without my wife, and then I left. So it's like I'm a terrible advertisement for your show. If you want to earn money, you have bikini. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's the new trend, actually. Like, a lot of good bodybuilders, they're like, no, like, I'll show it when I'm on stage. Like, I take my progress pics from me and my coach or whoever, is my second set of eyes. And I don't need all this fanfare and all these well wishes and stuff, because I've done this 10 or 15 times by now. And I don't need the gratification of likes or, the praise on Instagram or whatever.
No. Well, then you're usually, if you're in shape, you're miserable as fuck anyway, and you just don't want to talk to anybody.
I didn't even know Andrew was doing a show if it weren't for his face inside out. And
honestly, I didn't either, though. Like, this whole year was like, I just started dieting just because it's like, all right, I don't want to be the fat coach at the show this year because I'm going to go to all these shows.
Literally, that is what I tell like every client, because I usually just start dieting, relatively, and
it just hits you, right? Like, oh, I'm like,
because I'm like, and what I always say is nobody likes a fat coach. and so I just start dieting, and people are like, because so I don't look like the fattest, like I have like insulin face when I'm taking pictures with people after, because I have like a Regan face. It just stays fat unless I'm like 4 weeks out.
Like, put it this way, like at North Americans, I was lean enough that I just walked backstage, and there was security everywhere.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
You saw, right?
And they thought you were competing.
They let me walk right back in, and I was dark enough that the guy working security was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, bro?" And just let me walk right through. So I was sitting there with like Nate, Nick Walker, Bundy, and all those guys just chilling with them. It was crazy.
I'm standing by the gates. There's a police officer standing there, and Andrew, Nate, and was it Nate's girlfriend?
Abby. Yeah, Abby was trying to walk back with us, and they're like, "Sorry, man."
Walk back, and I'm like, "What the hell? Do people just get to walk back?" I'm like, "Oh, it's how he looks. That's fine."
So I always carry around a cooler, and I use shredded for like at least 10 years straight. So I used to just walk backstage all the time at every show because I had a cooler, and I was just like.
I
had a client that actually put a tan on one time, got spray tan because she didn't want to pay to like go to the show. It was at one of
that's dedication.
It was like one of the Atlantic states or Eastern USA's, which held in Teaneck, and so she got a spray tan with the other girls, and because she wanted to go backstage and she wanted to like go and watch the show without paying like the ridiculous $75 and $50 for the night show or whatever it is. Yeah, but I didn't have to do that. I just walked right back.
Yeah.
They did kick me out when they saw me putting oil on Nate, and they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I'm like, I'm just helping my buddy out here. And they're like,
"Yeah,
you're not.
He's gonna do me next. Don't worry."
I mean, not today. I'm not. And they're like, "You need to get out of here." And the guys like started yelling at me, and then he was like, whispering, he's like, "Dude, I'm not really upset. I just have to look like I'm upset, or they're gonna ride my ass. So get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was cool.
All right, here's another one.
Acting. Are we done bitching about people who think they should be pro because they've lifted weights for 40 minutes?
Yeah,
I actually tell my clients that do that hashtag, if they're not on the road to becoming a pro, I'm like, dude, take that off. Like,
take that off of there, right?
It's disrespectful. The people that are on the road to the pro card are not putting that in their hashtags because they know what they're doing. They know what the plan is. Like, they don't need to use silly little hashtags to garner attention.
Need the fucking attention. All right, we'll stick with our bikini girl. This is actually Nelson. This is one of your clients that gave me this one.
Okay.
Bikini girls constantly posting about minimal weight gain post show.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, there was like 4 weeks post show. I'm only up 0.2 pounds.
Right, 0.2 pounds. Bikini girls.
Yeah, that's you're still dieting.
Because you set up a photo shoot 4 weeks later and you're still dieting.
And
I get that all the time. Dieting.
Right.
Oh, it's like, you know what? It's almost as bad as bodybuilders, whatever. 1 week later, you know, it's like
30 pounds up, bro.
Bro, I filled out 20 pounds up. I'm gonna go rock the super heavy, bro. It's like,
right, 30 pounds up, yeah, and you've got congestive heart failure on the way. Congratulations.
Yeah, like, man, you were barely in shape for that show. I don't think you look better.
Right.
I had a guy that I prepped for one of our local shows, and we didn't get him in great shape because he was cheating on his diet, couldn't stay with peanut butter or whatever, but he was in halfway decent shape. And then I guess he went on vacation like literally the Sunday after the show. And my buddy like pulled a picture of him and his girl on the beach, and it was like Wednesday. And I didn't know he had actually gone on vacation. I'm like, why are you showing me this? Like, this, what is this? He's like, no, that's him now. And I'm like, no, like, he looks way worse than he did before we started the diet. Like, there's no way he's that big. He put on like 48 pounds in 3 days.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was like,
wow. That's talented. That's a lot of effort involved.
Yeah, I'm like, you need to get your blood pressure check like now. Like,
hold on.
You need to stop eating.
I don't know if you guys know this story. Do any of you guys listen to Heavy Muscle Radio?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay, so it was a couple months ago, but Aceto told this story, and I forget which bodybuilder, but it was one of the. You already know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember the bodybuilder, but I did hear this one.
Okay, so there was one of if you remember, it was for the North American.
No, he didn't. He wouldn't give the name.
Oh, he didn't. Maybe that's why.
Probably good reason.
Maybe that's why I remember. Yeah. So he prepped this bodybuilder, and it was literally a 3-day weekend or something after the North Americans. He's like, it was the worst, like, or biggest rebound he's ever seen, and it was like the guy was up like 69 pounds. Yeah.
Right. How? Right? Like how?
Okay.
You have to work really hard to do that. I'm sorry.
You feel so bad at 30. So bad.
Yes.
And
20.
You know what? I'm sure. I've never ever been over 5 pounds. Ever.
Oh.
Ever.
Even 2 or 3 weeks later, 20 pounds over, you're getting fucking back pumps and it's uncomfortable walking around.
Yeah, heck, I take that back. I take that. So the last show I did, I weighed in as a middleweight, and that was through not safe things.
Not safe things,
dude. That was I do not recommend that to anybody. It was like I was 193 on Tuesday, and on Saturday morning I weighed in at the show because it was a morning weigh-in. Such a dumb idea. I was 176.25 with my trunks off. So,
holy fuck.
Yeah. So it wasn't a good idea. God, it was dumb. But
we'll talk about that diuretic protocol after we get off the show.
It was multiple. There were multiple.
You get it from Milo?
Sure.
Dude, I have my garbage.
The Milo special.
Yeah, it was all oral. It was no injectable diuretic.
Fuck.
Because usually when you think like Milos would do it like freaking like an hour before you start like.
Yeah.
Dude, I've got a copy of Milos's protocol that he gave Meadows one time, and because John wanted me to type it up for him because he was going to try it maybe, even though he doesn't take diuretics. He just wanted to. I don't know. He was working with Milos for like a few weeks just to learn some stuff, and it was like aldactone starting 2 weeks out. It was
so much.
Diazide starting a week out. Like 75.
You wonder why these guys were so dry looking in the 90s and dying.
Oh.
Dying is
you guys
That's
Jerry,
the key word, dying.
You know Jerry Scalisi?
Yeah.
You guys know old Jerry, right? So big time bodybuilder back in the day, and so I was having a conversation with him at like one of our local like New England's or something like that, and I was just like, "So what do you think? What do we do differently than you guys do back in the day?" And he's like, "Well, you guys take way too much fucking gear, and that's going to kill you." He goes, "But we took way, way, way more diuretics than you guys did, and that's probably going to kill us." And he's like, I would drink water past Wednesday. I started the Diazide and the Lasix, started on Thursday, injected the Dibidex, everything. And it's like, oof. But.
Well, yeah, I mean, they some of the stories and stuff that they told, like the whole Mohammed Ben Aziza story. You know, he didn't have an ounce of fluid in him anywhere. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, when you made weight for North Americans, you tried to kill yourself the old-fashioned way, but did you use a bunch of diuretics too?
No, I didn't use shit.
Yeah.
I just would call it. I was 192 or some shit, and I was like, "Oh, I got to make weight tomorrow." And I went to bed, and I woke up, and I put on a bunch of sweat.
See, this is you always start the story like that, where it's just like, "Oh, I got to make weight tomorrow." Like you just remember.
Like you just,
he probably did forget.
What weight class are you trying to make?
I've never missed weight. I've never missed weight.
He made middle weight.
I've never missed weight. So I would call it I didn't even put on a garbage bag this time. I put on just a bunch of black sweats, got in my car, and started driving to Pittsburgh with the windows up and the heat on in the summer. And I'm listening to David Goggins because that whole prep, I was just Navy SEAL book after Navy SEAL book after Navy SEAL book. Like Dan Crenshaw, Jocko Willink, what do you call it, David Goggins, which is funny because you wouldn't know this unless you listened to all the books. But all of them were under the command of Jocko. Jocko's the leader of all the world's most famous Navy SEALs today, like Chris Kyle, the guy from everybody. So I'm driving and my phone says it just stops playing, and I look at it. It's like critical overheat, must deactivate. And I was like, oh, I'm tougher than a T800, motherfucker. I'm only blacking out. You actually have to eat shit. So I turned the air on and I held the phone up against the fucking vent, blasting cold air until it would like cool off enough and stop burning my hand. And then I pulled into a rest stop and I stripped down and I weighed myself in the parking lot and it was like 175. And this is the weird part. We haven't gotten to the weird part. This is the weird part. So a minivan pulls up to me while I'm almost naked.
In the parking lot.
In the parking lot at the rest stop. And then the door opens up and it's a woman and she starts breastfeeding. They didn't open the door to face away from me. They opened the door to face me, and she's breastfeeding, looking at me, and then her husband's trying to block her so she can't look at me. And the girl I'm talking to gets so mad at me, like, you're trying to show off your body. I was like, bitch, where am I supposed to weigh myself? It's like, I get out of the car, I strip off the wet sweats, I get on the scale. I've been doing this for 12 fucking years. I don't think about like, oh, there are rules now because I have a girlfriend. It's just like, no, this is just what I do. It's like, hey, I left my underoos on. That should be good enough. I wear a lot less than this fucking stuff when I'm on stage, and this Associated Press there. It's like you're showing off with this woman fucking breastfeeding. It's like, why did the bitch pull up next to me? There's an entire fucking parking lot.
Wait till you see the amount of people in the crowd at North Americans tomorrow. If you think showing up now.
Wait, there was no crowd.
To be fair, if we saw you naked outside with that big ass beard, I would think you were homeless. You were just a shredded, myostatin inhibited person.
That found a scale.
Yeah, but I didn't have a beard at the time. I didn't have a beard on the time. I think this would kill my look, quite frankly. I think the beard's so much bigger than my muscles that no one would even see me. I just look like a narrow gumpy.
You got to braid it like that Gator guy.
I want to braid. What I want to do is I want to dip it in pink, and I want to braid it. I want to shave the sides of my head and have like a wolf tattooed here, and then a dragon tattooed here.
You don't
and then put on eyeliner.
And still work in the hospital, right?
So I can look like the Captain Hook from Once Upon a Time on ABC.
Still work in a hospital, right?
I don't still work there now.
Thank God.
Like, if you show up as my doctor, I'm like, what the
He
fuck
wouldn't have a
is
job
this?
afterwards.
I think after this podcast, especially just all of the episodes, it would have already been done.
Yeah. I think we need to get a highlight reel of all the ones that Nelson's on because that's the best Todd moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Went through the 7 times I've had guns drawn on me.
Yeah.
Like that
and
conversation.
eating dog food.
Eating
cheat
dog
meals with dog
food.
food in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Sleep, dog food. Nelson's gets to be in the best episodes.
He does.
And Jose.
That's
The
fine.
Jose one was funny too.
Yeah, it was funny too because he's ragging on you the whole time
What we're saying is
until
that
he showed him.
I'm as good as Jose. That's the takeaway. In case
I'm,
anyone.
we're saying you bring the best out
Exactly
of
what we're
me.
saying.
You bring the best out of me, Nelson.
Oh,
I feel comfortable enough with you to be myself.
Didn't you just barely make weight though? Because you actually started drinking some
I
water
was
after that.
175 at 12, and I had all the way till 8 p.m. to make weight.
Yeah, but didn't you start drinking some water or something at one point?
I did. I went and had coconut water, and then I'd reweigh myself. So every time I was up to 170, once I was back down to 175, I'd have a pound of coconut water. And I just hovered there. But I ended up beating the light heavy in the overall. So it's like, had I made light heavy, I would have won that class anyway, and I might have beat the heavyweight. So it was a completely moot point to make middleweight.
But
Yeah, but you said you have a story to tell though.
yeah,
About how you lost 16 pounds in a couple hours.
13. It's almost as good as the 2012 Nationals.
Yeah, on the park bench.
On the park bench.
I feel like my weight sticks a lot harder, and so it's like, man, for me to pull off that much weight, it is just like,
Yeah, I won't. I can't pull that much off. We're talking even with some like hydrochlorothiazide or diazide the night before, we're looking at like 3 or 4 pounds at that point, and that's it. So anything more than that, I just flatten right out. So there's really no sense in trying to pull anything else out.
honestly, like next time, like I think honestly most of the preps that I did this year, like I really didn't use very many diuretics with people.
Either.
Like, so like in heck, some of the best conditioning that I like put on stage was no diuretics. Like Brady King, when he got first call out at Chicago, we didn't use any diuretics.
Yep.
So he had to make weight though, didn't he?
Dude, I think Brady freaking. I love that guy, and he is a pain in my ass. He told me it was 20 days out from the show that he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't.
He won North Americans, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and how far? Let's see. That was
months.
about a month. What? 2 months? 3 months after?
More than that. We started together after North Americans.
Okay.
He was with another coach then, and that didn't work out. So he came to me, and we started. And so our goal was he wanted to grow, and he's like, "Hey man, I just want to grow. Let's just focus on that." And I'm like, "Okay." So all I'm thinking about is growing, and we're in like full pushing food up and enjoying life. And then 20 days out from Chicago, which is in October, I think. He's like,
it's like October 20th.
He's like, "Yeah, can we do Chicago?" And I think really what I texted back is, "I'm going to kill you, Brady." But it was something like 32 pounds in 20 days.
Wow.
And in my opinion, he was the best conditioned classic guy.
Yeah, he was good.
I mean,
I saw it.
I want to troubleshoot this.
Yeah.
All right. So let's walk me through this magical world where you can go from full off season to a Chicago pro in 20 days. I'm going to take a guess. Okay. I'm going to say this is the Todd Lee method, and you can tell me how far off I am.
Go for it.
All right. So I am going to immediately cut my calories down to 0 carb for 3 days. Okay. And then on the 4th day is a high carb day of probably 1,000 carbs and probably shooting insulin. So I can keep my metabolism full speed. With that, I would still add in 25 milligrams of T3 just to be on the safe side. And I'd start titrating up 10 milligrams of Clen a day so that on day 20, I would be on like 200 milligrams of Clen or something like that.
Okay.
All right. This is 20 days of cutting, not 20 days to the show. Really, we only had 13 days to cut, but that's too confusing for me because you have to re-gauge the reload protocol. I would cut out all the gear I'm on, and I would probably start at 20 milligrams of tren a day, ascending, so that after 10 days, I'd be on 200 milligrams of tren a day. I'd probably start on 50 milligrams of Winstrol a day and then get up to 100 milligrams of Winstrol a day by the 10th day. So by 10 days out from the show, I'm on 200 milligrams of tren a day and 100 milligrams of Winstrol a day. And that would be it. I probably would start cardio, and that wouldn't be enough because my cardiovascular strength wouldn't improve within 20 fucking days. And I probably would start posing, which wouldn't be enough because I'd probably be so sore from posing for 30 minutes a day, 20 days out, that I wouldn't even be able to lift. I wouldn't change any of my lifts. I wouldn't change my volume, and I wouldn't change my load. I would switch from progressive resistance, 5 pounds or 1 rep, to just 1 rep. I would not add any actual weight to the bar for that 20 days. But if I'm getting like 330 for 8, I'd be trying to get 330 for 9 the next week and 330 for 10 the week after that. I wouldn't decrease the weight because I'd be counting on preserving that tissue. So what's different between my fucked up system that probably will not be effective enough for 20 days?
Everything. So you did this on like a Milos level.
Okay.
This was like a Chris Aceto level.
Somewhere in the middle.
So the very first thing I told him is we're doing pictures every single day.
Right.
What?
Pictures every day.
Pictures every day. Okay.
So I started him with, I think it was 20 minutes of cardio because he wasn't doing it. We're going to do 20 minutes of cardio every day no matter what. I started pulling his food back. It wasn't 0 carb. It was maybe let's say he was 200 or 300 grams carbs.
What was he at before?
Probably 600.
That's enough for a big response. Yeah.
Substantial drop. And his high days, I probably put him at 8. So we're just, and literally it was like he would send me pictures in the morning, and what I would do is send right back, this is what you're eating today.
Mm-hmm.
And so every day. So we played by ear. And so really, I think there was only 2. So you were thinking about a refeed every 4th day automatically. He didn't get those. It was, I waited to see when he was probably a little too worn, and I'd give him food. And I'm pretty sure that only happened 1 time. And rather than like feed him into the ground with cardio, I kept cardio lower, and I just kind of pulled food down as we went. As far as gear, this is a hypothetical situation, not a talking about his gear. It really doesn't matter because even though I said like, oh, this is what we're going to do, we found out at the end it was all fake. It was all testosterone, all of it. So he thought that he had a couple compounds, and which didn't get over, let's say, like 350 milligrams. Those were propionate. That was
what the fuck?
No hardness, no mass, no tren, no nothing.
No mass, tren. And you know what? When it did seem like something was a little weird as we got down, but he was just so lean at that point that it's hard to even tell. But there was he had no tren, he had no mass, he had none of that. He was using testosterone the whole time. And with T3, I think we did 12.5 mics for 10 days.
Okay.
It was very reserved. And then once we got there, he was 205. I started pulling the water down. He was 203 in the morning. We had to make 192. So it was just little bits of water with food. And then we weighed in on Thursday.
Yeah.
He's 6 foot even, or he's 5'11"?
No, he is 5'7.5".
He is.
Then how did he have to make?
He is taller than that because he is way taller than that. Trust me, he's like 5'9".
Wrong. What?
I'm telling you, I've stood next to him 1,000 times. I know how tall he is.
I've stood next to him naked in his room. He is 5'7.5". He is not taller than that.
No way.
Yes.
I look at him like this, then I shrunk like 3 more inches because I look at him like this.
Head. No, you're talking about like in Air Maxes at the gym. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
5'9".
Yeah, but he's 5, but he's under 5'8", and we know because we had to make weight.
That's what he got heighted at.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to back this the fuck up because that means he should be 190 is his weigh-in weight, not 202.
192 is what they told us. No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
192. I thought you said 202. Like that ain't real.
Yeah, like there's things that apparently have changed because I don't know. Apparently, the pros you might be able to stand a little taller, but
you do. You get 5 extra pounds to get to be a pro.
Well, you get
but they also
that was
close. They're going to give you the half inch up.
Yeah.
Like someone I know was like standing there when C-Bum weighed in the year before last and didn't make weight for height the first time. They said, "Well, hold on, one more time." Like, no, we heighted you.
One more time, bud. One more time. You just
heighted you wrong.
Yeah,
hair up a little bit more.
Yeah. So
spike your hair up a little more.
It's good to know because I haven't like helped a pro guy. Like heck, Brady was the first classic I ever helped because wasn't interested. I think, especially with young guys. I think it's stupid. It's like with if you're 22 years old and you're at the top of your height class, bro, you just need to grow, man. Don't worry about it. Unless you have like an amazing structure and like clearly your future, then I just want to see people grow. I usually tell them don't even worry about classic, because if you're an amazing classic bodybuilder and you put on size, you're gonna be a better bodybuilder than all of us.
Yep.
And that's what they don't understand is like classic is you do need to have the pretty face, the big arms, the big quads, and the tiny waist. But that doesn't exclude you from bodybuilding.
Not at all.
It's not like you have to be ugly to be a bodybuilder.
No, but it does mean it's the only thing you can do.
Right.
This is true.
So
there's no hope.
Or wrestling.
Right. Yeah. There's no hope.
Yeah. But he is funny. Just like another thing on him, since I feel like I picked on him a little bit. I don't think I've ever been in the room with a competitor where they had a better attitude than Brady.
Were they at a what?
A better attitude. Like the whole time, like, dude, I tried to kill him in there. Like we pulled 11 pounds off the shut down person. Like I had him in the sauna. I'd wipe him down, go back in. So he comes out in like 10 minutes, wipe him down, like literally almost passed out sitting. Buddy, you got to go. We only got 45 minutes. Let's go. And so like I just pushed him. We got back, like we're back in the room. All smiles, so happy to be there. Hey, what do you want to do? Let's go do. Like, he was like having fun the whole time. You couldn't make that like outing sour for him. He was just so happy. Whereas other people, oh man, it's like you
pulling teeth, yeah.
Pulling teeth, bro. It's like I only get a cup of rice. Well, calm down, okay? Because
you're the one that wanted to do this.
Yeah, right. You can have whatever you want. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. That's one of the cool things about him. He is like all smiles all the time, and he's a hard worker. He is, and I really did try to kill him because we sucked every drop of water out of him.
Yeah, I mean, 10 pounds, and I remember because you were on the show the night before. You were driving.
Oh yeah. I told you, I'm like I got like 12 pounds to pull or something.
Yeah, I knew you were talking about.
Right. I remember that.
I remember what you were talking about.
Yeah, but
funny though, like you say that, but then like I got 12, but like in the back of my mind, we know what's gonna happen. Like we know we're gonna make weight. You know what I mean? It's more like dramatics. Oh, we gotta pull 12 pounds off. But it's like
I know. It's like I've done it. I pulled, I think it was 11 pounds off of a girl for to do women's bodybuilding, 11 pounds in like 3 hours. So I'm like, if we can do it with the girl, I can do it with him.
And now, did you have him posing in the sauna?
With him, I just didn't want him to pass out. So at that point, I think we started out, like, I'm pretty sure he started out posing, if I recall. But after that, I'm like, man, you just got to stand in there for 10 minutes and then come out. And I'll wipe you down. We'll sit for a minute and you have to go back in. And we just did
20 minutes.
What's that?
I do the 20 minutes in the sauna and then 10-minute cold shower and then right back in. So we alternate that back and forth.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Many times as we need to.
To kind of like
cool the body back down, reset the senses and everything. Make sure you're not going to die.
Yeah,
and dry off.
That's really important. Actually.
Yeah, that is important. The
guy you can't compete.
I did it's funny. Actually, I hit up Jacob Wilson for my girl because I knew that he had done the bath thing with Dusty when he did. It was like Phoenix or something.
Like Epsom salt bath or
Epsom salt with like alcohol, and so I'm like,
Yeah.
That ended up what I was going to do. And he
winter
like
green alcohol.
what's that?
It's wintergreen alcohol.
I don't know what that is.
The wintergreen, I think, is like the mentholated aspect of the alcohol.
Right.
That helps pull them even more moisture out of the skin.
opens the pores probably.
Yeah, it does.
Opens the pores.
Green
And pulls
alcohol bottle.
Yeah, so we did that with her, and that was like he gave me some tips on that, which is really helpful because that was one of those things. But he did it over like a long time span. He did he did one, and I kind of like what you're saying, like give your body a break. Like he waited 3 hours and then he did it again, and then he did it again. It was like 3 hours.
You don't have to do that. What you do is you do 20 minutes at like 105 degrees with the alcohol. You get out, you get toweled off.
Yeah.
And to get them, and then you get back in, and you can. That's an alternative system to the sauna. I think the sauna is just easier.
It is easier. It's definitely easier. But
then the sauna alone won't work. You just put on sweats, and then you put a garbage bag over the sweats, and then you do your posing in the sauna, and that'll fuck you up. You will lose wet water so goddamn fast like that. You just have to have someone there to make sure when you faint that they can wake you up, and then you can start doing it again.
That's why we did the bath, because I couldn't go into the sauna with her because she's a girl.
Oh, because she's a girl.
Right.
Oh.
We did the bath, and I think you're kind of dreaming with the 105 degrees because this is a hotel bathroom, and we get what we get. So it's like
right.
So there was a sauna in the Chicago.
At Chicago, there was a sauna at the LA Fitness across the street.
Oh,
because I had a guy who I didn't like. He was doing a show there. We didn't feed him from like Wednesday night until weigh-ins on Friday at 4.
Yeah,
and I had him doing cardio and like he didn't eat for like 2 days because he was already like in pretty good shape, but his body just wouldn't let go of any water. And we were looking for a sauna. They told us we couldn't use the sauna at the hotel, obviously.
Yeah. So,
but I would have brought him over there if I would have known.
LA Fitness is always my go-to because they almost always have a sauna. And so I saw one that was right across the street. And then I called and so I made sure like, hey, this is the sauna open. And they're like, yeah. So we went. It was a $15 guest fee, and we went in, and they're like, hey, you guys only here for like an hour? I'm like, yeah. They're go on in. Like. All right.
Oh my God! I'd be getting phone calls for the next 9 years if I went to an LA Fitness. How did you get off the hook without even registering?
I don't know. I walked in. That's kind of funny. I walked in there and I'm just like, hey, I called about the sauna. I need a day pass, and he's like, all right, man, you're only going to be here for a little while. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, go hit it. I'm like, all right, thanks.
Was he a bodybuilder or was he?
Nah, he was just a skinny guy. But like he was, cool. I guess it could have literally just been that he was going to get off in 5 minutes and he didn't
care.
It
didn't want to hit the buttons and
yeah. He was like, might decide again. So he didn't say anything. He just said, hey, you can do it. So like it was cool. There was a couple of people in there. I'm pretty sure going in the sauna. What's his name? That Jackson guy, the guy who used to work with Meadows.
Ken Jackson.
Yeah. He was there.
Yeah.
We saw a couple other guys.
That's funny. You guys know that shit in and out. You recognize everybody at the top amateur level at these shows. And that was a pro show.
Yeah. Well, Ken's a pro.
Yeah, Ken's a pro.
Yeah, we know. We know Ken.
Ken Jackson? I think it's Ken Jackson.
Yeah, Ken Jackson.
Oh, yeah, we know. Well, of course,
he's from up you guys' way.
But usually, I mean, you know how it is. It's like we all watch all these amateur shows too. It's like if you're in like a top 5 in an amateur show, we know who you are. You know, it's the national level. National level.
You know what's funny is I've been doing this for 12 years, and it always confuses the fuck out of me that anyone knows who I am.
Oh, really?
Ever. It's just like ever.
Well, you're popular in a very niche thing. So it's like the people who know you are obsessed with this subject. It's funny because like what was it like David Pulcinella had said he was at a bar one time and like a social experiment he asked someone at the bar, he's like, hey, what's an IFBB Pro? And they're like a blender. So And so it just shows you, it's like, this is how important you are. No one really knows, you know?
Right.
But
except for other people that know to do it.
Yeah, but it's always cool. I know it's like, you know, I guess if someone really knows, and like obviously some people are like, oh, I'm into bodybuilding. It's like, yeah. Who got third at North Americans? You know, it's like
I think the average person is like, oh, I want to be a bodybuilder like The Rock, and it's like The Rock's not a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
he's in decent shape, but he's not a bodybuilder.
He's not a bodybuilder. He's a movie star.
Honestly, he looks like good for a normal person.
Sure,
exactly.
Well, but the normal person, that's what they identify with.
Right. He's a 3.8 BMI. I thought that was weird that his BMI is so low compared to, because you know that there must be a static BMI that they use to reverse engineer the height and weight chart for a class.
Sure.
I think their BMI is something set to like 33, maybe 35 or something like that. And that's where the BMI is supposed to be for the top of classic.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Could made the whole classic thing make sense to me all of a sudden.
Wow, that's weird.
Whenever I see someone in a movie, I'm like, oh, they look pretty big. I'll look up their height and weight and calculate their BMI. Be like, wow, that's really not impressive at all now. Okay.
That is the weirdest but most Todd thing I've ever heard. Hold on. I do have a question. Because I watched an episode a couple weeks ago, and I forget who was on, but you walk off for like 30 minutes twice.
It was Fitzpatrick or something. Matt. It was the Fitzwater from.
It was Martin.
Martin's.
Yeah, I think it was Martin's.
Yeah. You know, so like I had written a comment or something like, "Oh, Todd went off to read the Serostim packet or something." Because that's how long you were gone for, bro. It was like you were just out.
He was gone for a while.
No, it was.
He just gets up and walks off, and I'm like,
just left.
Okay.
It was like a really weird situation where my girlfriend got so drunk, but she didn't know she was drunk, and her friend stole her phone and was pretending to be her, sending me like inflammatory shit. And then she finally got her phone back and was calling to tell me that it wasn't her, but she was so drunk she kept forgetting that she had called me already. So she'd call me back over and over and over again and have the same conversation. And I'm trying to explain to her, like, dude, you're drunk as fuck. I get it. I'm still in my podcast. I'll talk to you later. But that sentence was the extent of her working memory, and it would restart, and there was no long-term memory potentiation. So then it would start over again, the loop.
Like that fish from Nemo.
Yeah.
Just
Dory or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like she was Dory drunk. That's going to be the new term. It's like that bitch was still drunk. Keep Dory drunk.
Oh fuck. All right, let's see. Here. All right, here's a good one. Competitors that trash their coach online after a show that they don't win.
I love that.
I've been trashed after a show where the client did win the whole thing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I've been like, well, this person didn't win, but she, like, before she walked on, she's like, this is the best I've ever looked. I'm so happy. Next week, not happy apparently.
Right.
Fired you?
Yeah.
Did she fire you?
What's funny?
Yeah. Pardon me.
I've never had them trash me online that I know of.
She went to, hey bud.
No, hey bud.
Hey bud.
I'm gonna go a different route. I've seen that one a few times.
Yeah.
I think I need to find a coach that understands my body just a little bit better. You just fucking won.
Yeah.
What else did you want?
I can see like if that's like an idea in the head. It's like if I just worked with you for a year, I have like a if you don't like me, that's one thing. Like, yeah, do your thing. But it's like I think sometimes people like they'll say things and that's not what they mean. It's like they're like they have this other excuse like, hey, I don't want to work with you anymore. Hey, but they no one wants to say that. It's kind of like heck, judges do it too. It's like you were just a little flat. You mean I need to be bigger? Is that what you mean? Or like It's like, yeah, you come in fuller. It's like, I need to grow, right? Is that what you're saying?
So you just want me to see me bigger.
I just a little sharper. You need to lose 5 pounds of body fat. You know,
just tell me.
They won't just hit it on the head. I mean, if it's Steve, they'll hit it on the head.
Yeah. Yeah, you look fat. That's it. Come in later.
The feedback I ever got from Steve is he's like, you know what you're doing. Just keep doing it. Like, what the fuck does that mean, man? I mean, I guess you're giving me a compliment and respect, and that's dandy, but I don't want that right now. I want direction.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Just keep doing it.
Well, I mean, from the judge's standpoint, though, like, I look at it this way. They see you for that 3 minutes that they have you on stage, right? So, like, he doesn't know anything about your work ethic. He doesn't know anything about your situation. Doesn't even really know your age other than facially what you look like. So it's like, okay, you're on the right track. You're in the top 5 or whatever in a national show. So it's like, just keep doing it, you know, because hopefully, you know, you keep paying your dues. It's going to work out for you. Versus like, you know, like we know our clients. So it's like, okay, now you just need to work harder or you need to fucking get rid of the peanut butter or whatever the hell it is, you know? So it's like, I could get Steve saying something like, hey, just keep doing, you know what you're doing, keep doing it, bud. You know, I could totally buy that if he says that to a guy who looks like he's been competing for a number of years, has some very good muscle, and just got beat by guys with slightly better genetics, or it's just their time. You know, they just have that experience.
That actually makes sense. Okay, so I'll give you some context now, and you've just proven you were right without knowing it. After the North American in 2010, I had been bodybuilding this is my second show. It was 11 months after my first show. I got 4th. And then 2 years later, I did the North American again. And he tapped, I believe it was Steve Raquel on the shoulder, who was head judge, pointed at me and pointed at the middle, and they moved me in the middle. And I got 1st. So that's, and I was bigger, you know, and leaner. So you pretty much just hit it nail on the head.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I'm not going to say who it was or anything because this is your business, Andrew, not mine. But I was me and a client were walking out of nationals 2 years ago, and he was in the hall with a judge talking about one of his clients. And it's funny, like that. I remember that conversation so well because he said something like, "Just better conditioning, bring better conditioning." And I looked at like my wife was right there. I'm like, looked at him. He was the best person in I said he, best conditioned in the class, you know.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's like sometimes I think it's like they just want to get out, they just want to leave.
Oh, I agree. After
they're exhausted, and it's like, and it's your only chance. Like, so you go up and you're like, "Hey, man, it's like, can you help me out here?" And then it's like he's on his way out or something, and he's just like, just bring better conditioning. Because for most people, that would work. In this case,
he said that to me when I went up to him right after nationals to talk about Nate, and I go, I just want to get your mindset here. What did you see there? You know, what made you put Ben Rapallo, great bodybuilder, who's a friend and everything, very pretty structure, better structure than I think anyone on stage in that class actually. But I go, what did you see? And he said conditioning. He's
the most conditioned person in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he would just be like, look, you know, Ben's got a pretty shape and structure, nice V taper. Nate has better conditioning, but we went with that today. I'd be like, okay, great, you know. But he said condition. I'm like, where? Like back, like legs? What do you see? And he goes, everywhere. And I go, you just want to get out of here. I'll leave you alone.
It's fine.
But Tyler, on the other hand, will give you really good detail. He was like, I want to see like 2 to 3 more pounds on each leg. I want to see just a little bit more of a taper out of him. His conditioning is always spot on. His graininess, all that stuff. Like Tyler gives really good feedback. And I think maybe because he's younger and he maybe connects a little bit more and he's not, you know, he wants to put a good face forward, being the vice president and everything. Whereas Steve's like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm going to drink, you know, like, get out of my way. You know,
so I've been here judging for 3 days. I just want to go home.
At this point, I see Tyler as being the next head honcho, if not, and he's maybe the de facto underboss currently.
He is
very conscientious.
He absolutely already is. I think he makes a lot of decisions for the direction of the sport because he's part of the younger audience. He knows Instagram. It's
more complicated than that even. If whether you get sanctioned or not is Tyler's call. Whether you can add 212 to a show and make it a pro-am is Tyler's call. There's a lot of stuff at the back end that's all Tyler at this point already.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's something that we want to see is, wouldn't it be nice if you opened up more Masters Pro shows, more 212 Pro shows? Most of your Pro-Am shows are just bikini and physique. Like, no one gives a...
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that too, because it's the easiest one. They know they're going to get it. They're going to draw.
Tim Gardner does a really good job, though. He usually brings almost all classes. I think
right.
I think every class usually.
But there's still not that many. Okay, let's go through the list. There's Indy Pro, Chicago Pro, Tampa Pro, Orlando Pro. There used to be the Europa Dallas. There's Toronto. There used to be Niagara Falls. There's New York Pro. Vancouver's on the other side of the state, but fine. And there's the Cali Pro. That's 10 shows on North America.
You talking about for 212?
For pro period, for the most part.
Oh,
Puerto
sure.
Rico.
Puerto Rico, Spain, yeah.
I don't consider Puerto Rico because that's like that's a Caribbean. I'm not going to get in my car and drive to Puerto Rico,
Fair enough. Boston supposed to start happening too.
Oh yeah, that's Boston and Pittsburgh. That's 12.
Vancouver.
We have Vancouver on there, but with the exception of Cali and Vancouver, all of them are west or east of the Mississippi. There's not a lot that are west of the Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. I agree. They should do a lot more with promoting pro contests, 100%. Because you have a pro show, you make all your money from the amateurs. You do the pro-am thing, you're going to make all your money from the amateurs and the ticket sales and stuff. So right. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't know why they don't sanction a lot more of those.
And you don't have to have all the pro. Like you don't spend the money on open. You could draw people with just 212s and masters. It doesn't have to be just bikini and physique.
Is there a big masters draw?
There would be, because they're turning all these fucking people at the Universe, North American, and
Pro as Masters.
Pro. Like I would say 90% of the people with pro cards are over 40 at this point.
Okay, listen, if I want a 65 and over pro card, I'm done. I'm not dieting anymore.
Are you sure?
It's like that was my last diet. Like I'm 60 years old. It's like that's it.
Yeah, but look at Mike Charles's dad. He looks like he's still balling for like
20 years younger. We'll figure 20 years old. And you know what? It's funny because he's in there. He trains his dick off. Like, I know he trains Mike. He's like yelling at Mike. The guy would probably like bury me. He's like 7 years old.
Super friendly guy though. Otherwise, super friendly guy.
Yeah. No, I was in their hotel room at, I guess it had to be North Americans like 2 years ago or something like that. And yeah. So chill as far as it's like when you watch their videos and you kind of think, oh man, this guy's like almost like a little drill sergeant-y, but he like super chill, was like giving us water and just hanging out.
And he's the one competing, right? Wasn't he competing that year too?
Well, Mike was just there to watch him.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's like 7 years old.
Yeah, he's got to be what? Is he 60 or is he still in the 50 plus?
Oh no! I think he won it was over 60 for sure.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he looks like a 40-year-old dude in there. Like
that's funny.
He looked great. Honestly, it's funny because like, God, he got like so lean too. It's like nothing looks like, I don't know.
There was no loose skin or any of that stuff. Like he was peeled.
His numbers in the gym are like, it shouldn't have been possible for when you're like you're supposed to be decrepit, bro. What happened?
I don't think you stop. You don't start aging till you stop training and you bring your hormones down to an inhumanly low level.
Well,
true.
Yeah, but at some point, I'd like to bring my hormones down to like a somewhat human level.
Well, I mean, if you're bodybuilding and you just go like some a lot of these pros that are retired now, just go down to TRT those and you just keep training. Yeah. You're still going to fucking look good at 60 years old. As long as you just continue to bang weights away.
Milos.
I would say both, or Meadows.
Yeah.
Meadows is great.
Dude, he does less than one shot a week. Even when competing. He only did less than 250 megs a test a week.
Like what?
Russ Allen, he's another guy that, keeps it really low. And then when he wants to turn it on for a show, he can, add the goodies in and,
Sure. He's not abusing it. It's just using it. There's a difference.
I feel like, I mean, especially Russ, man. Like Russ is probably like super healthy because, like, I mean, like
he looks like
he's straight up like downsized at this point, you know, and like he looks good.
Like he grows into the show. Like when he gets ready to do a show,
like,
he absolutely puts on like 15, 20 pounds. Like
just last year, I think, right? He was getting ready for something, and it was like
he New York Pro.
I honestly don't know.
But down in,
did anything?
No, he did.
Oh, he did.
He got on stage. Yeah, he got like 3rd or 4th, I think.
Last year. God, what a freak! Hey, I remember I was messaging him because like he had posted something about like training that we were talking about, but he looks so good. It was one of those things where it's like he changes so fast, you know, because he's always training, and it's just like you clean up food a little bit and you just, you know, go for it. You guys ever think about when you're gonna start like shutting it down?
No. I don't want to think about it.
I've got at least 10 years in me.
God,
I want to be in the Olympia state by at least 45, and I want to win the Olympia by 50.
I don't
Last
think
all you want, fucker. I'm going to do it.
Russ got 6th last year at the New York Pro.
Holy,
he got 6th to the New York Pro last year out of like 15.
Pro.
Yeah,
dude, he's a badass.
Yeah.
I don't think I have 10 years, dude.
I got 5. I probably got 5 years left in me. So by the time I'm like 40, 46, 47 years old, I got to think about how weighing the benefits of why the hell am I still doing this? And if it's, you know, is it a good idea at that point? But I mean, I'll never stop training.
No, I'm not talking about training, but I don't know. It'd be nice to like not be adding more scar tissue when I'm like, you know.
Or like eating so much in the off season that like
you just want to fuck.
Yeah, like the only thing I want to eat right now is fruit. Like the only thing I look forward to is fruit. So I have fruit every meal. It's like a little dessert, but it's like that's all I look forward to is pineapple and apples and stuff.
Yeah, I had the I want to puke every day 6 times a day off season. This last one, trying to put on a little bit more, see how far we could push it size wise. And I was glad when the last couple weeks now where I can kind of pull back a little bit before we start getting ready to start dieting for the universe, because it was just like, fuck, it's not fun when you're like standing upright eating and you're like contemplating if you need to lay down.
Is that what you're gonna do as universe?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What class are you in?
Do Masters 40. I'm a heavyweight, so.
I was gonna say come down to the 35s.
Hey,
I might do both.
Nice.
Meadows wants me to do that one again.
You should.
Do them both. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm 42, so.
Gotcha.
So I'm the youngest one, and I'm the one thinking about getting out.
Don't you have like a baby and shit? Though?
I'm just not talking about it, but yeah, it definitely crosses my mind a lot. Absolutely.
Like
life after.
Yeah, I have a 4-year-old.
All right, so like Keith has kids. He has a different job. You've got kids. I don't have shit. I literally sacrificed everything to get to this point. So I'm going to take everything I can and keep throwing it at the wall and hope something sticks until I'm dead. No, because if I wanted the easy way out, I would still be doing brain surgery, right? But if I'm going to give up that so I can be a fucking pro bodybuilder, now that I'm a fucking pro bodybuilder 12 years later, it's like, boy, did I fucking over-invest and over-sacrifice.
Well, no, hold on. But you said this is like the worst investment. We're just all retarded. That's why we do it. So we loved the worst investment of all time. But when you just get hard, especially like, it kind of just makes sense. Like, all right, well, I'm good enough to keep going. But I always thought, like, I don't know. I know, obviously, especially, I mean, you guys know, as you coach, like, people who are just way more blessed than you.
Oh, yeah.
The delusion of grandeur, like, starts really coming down. And it's like, oh, this is what an Olympian is. Oh,
right. Okay.
Got you. Yes.
A lot of these people are fucking flakes, though. Like, I hate to call them out, but, like, didn't Keon just not do the Olympia because he didn't feel like it?
Yeah,
He wants to take 2 years off because for no reason, and then he doesn't want to do this for more than 5 years. And then Shanique Grant's like, my joints hurt. It's like I can't walk up a flight of stairs.
It's like, you know what? With Keon, it's like it's always been very easy, and he does this because he's good at it. He doesn't do this because he loves bodybuilding. He loves this because he is good at this job. And it just
someone said to him, "Hey kid, you should do a bodybuilding show. You're going to go pro soon."
And he's never
and he won.
He's never hit any concrete wall. It's just every time he just wins, he wins. And so it's one of those things where, you know what? From what I understand, and I'm not like, cast stones or anything. He's better than me. He'd smash me any day. But like, he probably puts about 70% into his prep. Let's say it's 70%. The cardio, cheating, whatever. I don't know. I don't live with him. But if that's what he does, and then he shows up at, let's say, Chicago, Austin Carr was in much better shape. Much better. And when you looked at them up close, Keon, it's like, it wasn't close. I was, whatever, third row or something back.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Keon smoked him. It's like it was the shape. It just like everything was bubbly, and it wasn't one of those things where you're like, oh, he's in better shape. It was like from a kind of standing back, like Keon looks great. Now you could obviously like glutes weren't in and other things, but it's like Austin left the door open a little bit because like glutes weren't super dry, and his abs are harder to come in a little bit. But he was in much better shape than Keon, and he's just as big. To beat Keon, you have to beat him hard because that boy is like good.
Olympia genetics. He's got Olympia genetics.
He has 100%. You know what? It's funny because if he wanted this, like a Meadows wanted this, he would already be Mr. Olympia. Over. Done. Over.
I agree.
So I guess that's like my point is like Jon Snow season 6, episode 8. Like right at the beginning of the Battle of the Bastards, when it's just Jon Snow against the entire Bolton army, and he don't give a fuck. He's gonna die with his sword in his hands.
Yeah. That's another Toddism to be like, it's like season 6, episode 8.
He has it memorized. He really does.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Yeah, man. I think for sure and it's funny because like when you look at this year, he was pretty close. I mean, it was a 1-point decision in the 212s, and they both came in awesome. If he was 100%, it's hard to say. We don't know what he looks like at 100%.
Would have been straight ones.
Yeah, I mean, because like
if he was 100%.
I don't think we've seen him at an A. We've seen him like at a low B or something. We've never seen him like hardcore. Heck. I mean, a lot of times he just goes and eats Chipotle. He's like, "Oh, it's a clean meal. It's a clean meal."
He's never been better than 80%.
Yeah, it's like I know. If I got peeled and I stood next to him, he would, in the off season, smash me into the ground and wipe me all over the floor. We're not the same thing.
No.
So I guess what I'm saying though is like. Yeah. I've seen people way more talented than me with way better projected trajectories than me start 5 years after me and wash out, burn out, or die before me. And it's like that's my thing is that I stick it in even when I don't have any reason to. And I just wait and I just keep going until I end up being the only one left. And as dumb as that sounds, because there's a revolving door of new talent, it worked with everything else so far.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good attribute.
Let's pretend it's a girl. Okay, like there's this woman you really want. You've got the biggest crush on her, right? So 10 years later, she's not going to be as pretty. So now her standards will be a lot lower. You'll be bigger. You'll have money. She'll have been divorced. She's got kids with different dads. She's got a drug problem. She's a lot older looking, and her body's not as nice. And her fakes are sagging. So your standards will be much lower, and now you'll have your chance. So basically, I'm going for my single mom Olympia. and that will be that.
You know, it's like basically, what does this card mean to you? Well, this is a divorced, broke down, card.
Drug addict woman.
Yeah, it means a whole lot less to me than it did back then, but I've worn it down.
Yeah. I've come this far. I can't stop now.
Yeah. It's like it's just something going. It's too late. I don't know.
Well, I mean, playing the long game is never a bad thing. When it's because I mean, it's bodybuilding, right? It's supposed to be a marathon. It's not supposed to be. You're right there. Only the super genetically elite get there that fast, and then are able to stay if they want to be.
Right.
It's most people. They've got to work. Like you said, it's 10 years, right? You said earlier, it's 10 years, Nelson. It's 10 years.
Well,
Bodybuilding, you want to be 10 years. You've got 10 fucking years before you even hit your peak or come close to it.
Right. There's a lot of genetic gifts. Not all of them are building muscle. Some of it is surviving the drug use. There's a lot of really talented guys that don't outlive their drug use.
I think, like having health that lasts is huge. And another one is like those guys who are always hungry for food. That's big. That's really big. You know what? That's one that I have to try to overcome with GHRP6 and and some extra cardio because, man, I don't know. My meals lately look pathetic. But heck, you know what? Thinking about it, that might be more of why I'm thinking I'm having this realization because of whatever last off season, and I pulled every trigger. I ate more than 2 bodybuilders. And then, here, we just went for it. And you know what? I don't know, man. It didn't yield that much.
What was the heaviest you got?
I was 247.
That's pretty fucking good.
It's not bad, but it's like, it's like when I dieted it down to no show. So what are you going to do, right? But
right. You down to middleweight, you said?
What's that?
You dieted down to middleweight?
No. That was the year before. I wouldn't have made middleweight this year. I was 203.
Okay, so you're top of light heavy.
Kind of, yeah, top of light heavy. Because I was hanging out a couple weeks out, and shows kept getting canceled. So I just kind of hung there and waited. And then the show I was going to do, the Virginia State show, I really wanted to do it. And it was 6 weeks before the show. They moved it back a week, which normally wouldn't be a problem. You only get better, right? Except that was the day of Universe, and I had clients in Universe, and I promised them I would be there, so I had to drop the show.
Why didn't you just do the Universe yourself?
Well, first of all, I didn't know it wasn't tested. Freaking Andrew had inside information, didn't tell me, so whatever.
Did everyone hear about this? Did everyone hear about this? So at Chicago, I was talking to Steve. I'm sorry, at Atlanta, the Chicago Pro, I was talking to Steve. And I was like, he's like, well, what's your plans this year? And I was like, well, I was going to do nationals, but, I have Nate doing it now. And, I don't want to be, in the same class, whatever. I want to be there for him, And so he's like, come do my Universe. And I was like, I really want to do another open class. But I'm not ready to say I'm a master's guy yet. Yeah. And he's like, you can do my open class. And I go, and I started to say, what about, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He goes, you could do my open class. Like that. So I'm like, all right. I'm hearing it literally from the guy that owns the show. So,
right.
Okay. And we all know it hasn't been tested for years. I mean,
yeah, I say it hasn't been tested in a long time.
Hold on, wait, pause. It was tested a couple years ago because that Ed guy came in, juiced to the gills, and he got tested, and they took his card away, and he came back last year and won it.
They don't even test you at probation.
He's sponsored by Gasp. I don't know, but he was the guest poser at my first show, and I remember he was grainy, and he came and he did the Universe. He won the open class, and then all of a sudden he didn't have a pro card anymore. It was all really weird. And then it might have been 15 or 16. But
I was there. Got to figure that out. It wasn't 15 because Meadows won in 15, so it must have been 16.
But Meadows won the Masters, not the Open.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so
this was
changed somewhere then.
Yeah.
I mean,
his name was Ed. I don't remember, but he's a good Masters bodybuilder, and he came in, he won, but he tested positive, so then he had to come back and win it again.
I've for a long time have thought that they really don't test it, or they don't test the winner. They test like some random fucker at the end of the it's the fourth call out or something.
Like that guy that goes to every national show, like the guy, he's like the black guy, yeah, who's like, I'm like, it's
he's a super heavy.
Like,
yeah.
He's
we're
like
gonna test you.
Yeah, I think he did like, it's funny. He did USA.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was USA. It's not saying much. With the best condition I've ever seen him, it legitimately looked like he had started dieting. Whereas in other shows, I'm like
he actually dieted.
It's like, it's like in other shows, it's like you feel bad. It's like, dude, you don't know what's going on, man.
Are you mentally just not right in the head, or something?
He had lost it looked like he had lost like 30 pounds off of that, but it's like it wasn't, there wasn't a hint of an ab or anything, but it's like he was dieting, and so I don't know if like maybe a judge told him to, dude, you can't show up, but he does every national show. How he qualifies
every national show,
I don't know, but
how does he qualify?
Somebody qualify that wants to give you $250 for every show every year.
Yeah.
No, I'd give you a lifetime NPC card and say, please show up at every event.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
But
yeah, because like let's be real. It's like most of these bodybuilders, like what we feel like doing one show. We prep for 10 weeks and we're like, man, screw this junk, and then you're out.
Well, and you're doing one show, 2 at the most if you have to requalify, right? Because it's how expensive is it for us to do a national show as opposed to a bikini competitor,
right? It's like,
right?
Well,
right.
I mean, but most of you guys probably like get all your stuff, given to you, right?
For the most part, but still.
No,
I mean, without something.
I pay for my shirt.
No, I pay for like an amateur.
Oh, let me hook you up with my guy.
And usually, if people are like, they're handing you stuff, growth ain't free.
No,
dude. Actually, I've got.
The way he said no, I feel like he gets it for free. How about that? That's what I think.
I've had literally kids show up at my house, no idea who they came from, and I even texted him like, "Hey, did you send me something?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Where did this come?" It was like a different address, but I never heard. And then, like 2 years later, one of my buddies from Canada was like, "Hey, did my stuff ever show up?" Because he comes down and gets it sometimes. And I'm like, dude, that shit's long gone. Like, are you
tell me ahead of time that you're sending it here.
I took that like 2 hours later.
Yeah, I was like, sweet, I can get a bottle a day now.
Yeah.
I'm doing 20 IUs a day.
but then, the crazy stuff that goes to your mind, you're like, oh fuck, is the government trying to set me up here? Like, what is
right?
This? Like,
what the fuck?
I didn't order this, and you know what I mean? Which, rationally, you're like, they don't fucking waste their time on this crap. But it's like, you still like get yourself a little spooked,
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just saying with the food alone. I mean, the amounts of food we have to eat, the off season into a prep, and then everything else that goes into a prep, obviously with gear and everything on top of that. It is way more expensive for one of us to do a show than it is for your average bikini competitor.
It's like a luxury car payment. It's like a luxury car month.
Yeah.
Like, and you're driving a really nice vehicle.
Yeah.
I could have a home.
Man, imagine all that money you would have saved over the years of national shows. You'd paid for a house cash.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a mattress on the ground. Like I have a mattress, a 12-year-old TV, and an Amazon Fire Stick. Like this, I have nothing. It's like,
I just
got a box.
I got to run, Keith.
Yeah, go for it, man. I appreciate you coming on too. Last minute, that was great. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have more questions? Bye, Andrew.
See you later.
We got lots of stuff. We got lots of questions we could talk about. We got lots of shit.
Keep going.
we could talk about this kind of crap all
I ain't
day
got
long.
shit to do except for watch Age of the Samurai on Netflix.
Yeah. No, I had God, what was it? It was I saw the other day somebody trashing their coach online. Now, rightfully so. Look. If your coach fucks you over in some way, like, they stop responding to you, or that kind of stuff. Sure, you want to out him on that one for being a dick for not responding to you or anything else. Sure, I get it. There are bad coaches out there. There are guys that don't give a fuck about their clients and they're just a money grab, right? You've got some of those groups out there. One of them, I don't remember the name of it and stuff, but it's got a bunch of pro bikini girls on staff, and none of them actually do any of the diets. It's like 4 other people that do the diets and stuff, and it's basically like a money grab. Those kind of companies and those people, right? Those are shit coaches. They deserve to be outed for that kind of crap. But even if you don't agree with their methods of what they did, you hired them and you agreed to do it. And as soon as you agreed to do what they told you to do and didn't question it, it's just as much your fault, because if you allow it, then you deserve it. I don't like it when they do that and they don't get the result. He promised me an overall. I took second or third. Okay, well, did you do all the work? Well, no. Did you eat everything that he told you to do? No. Did you do all the cardio he told you to do? No. Well, then you fucking got what you deserve. It's not his fault.
The way a lot of people, and we're just talking about people who don't follow, but the way they talk about the plan is kind of humorous to me, because it will usually be doing 2 hours of cardio. So did you skip cardio yesterday? Yeah. So you don't have 2 hours of cardio. You did. You did 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have 0 carbs, but you cheated, so you don't have 0 carbs. It's outwardly living this.
Oh my god!
But the actual result in inward, how you feel, is not the suffering. You just want everyone else to know that you're suffering.
Right. Well, and it's attention grab. It's an attention grab. Yeah, it becomes an attention grab. Is all it is. It's I'm really starving, or he did this or she did this to me, and I'm like, well, but did you do it? Well, no. Well, then don't bitch about it, because you didn't even fucking do it. Or they did do what the coach said, right? And let's say they ended up stage lean or whatever. They did good, and they ate like a fucking asshole after the show instead of follow. They didn't want to pay the coach, or they didn't ask the coach, or the coach gave them a solid reverse plan of some sort to come out of the show, and they didn't follow it, and they ate like an asshole, and they blew up 40 pounds.
You don't need a fucking reverse plan. Just reverse the fucking plan.
Some people, Todd, can't think for themselves, okay, and they need to be told everything to do.
I don't
think logically.
I don't think the problem is even the logic. The problem is the lack of accountability.
Right. That's all it really is. They need a daddy.
It's easier to do this than to do this.
Well, it's just especially because if you're doing the reverse plan, then I am my coach. It's oh, okay. Well, I'm super hungry, so I could probably have extra cucumbers. It's okay, put sugar and Splenda on it. I mean, I'm gonna put Splenda and cinnamon on it, and then oh, we don't have any Splenda. I'll just use sugar. And then at that point, it's just I could kind of use whatever. Maybe I should have it today.
I'm gonna put caramel on it instead. Yeah.
Sugar on
and dip it in ice cream.
The escalation is so weird and illogical, but
You know what's funny is there's this part of the AA Big Book that's the best. It's in the very beginning, and it's they're talking about how addiction works and nobody thinks they're a drug addict. And this guy's got a year sober, and he stopped somewhere and he ordered a glass of milk, and he goes, "Why don't I have some whiskey in the milk? Then I'm not really drinking whiskey." And then before he came out of his blackout, he had basically spent all his life savings, had beat up his wife, and went to jail. And it was just it's that point where you talk yourself into having something you're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
And
you rationalize it.
Yeah. It's I'm having a cucumber, so I can put sugar on the cucumber. But at that point, why don't you just have a fucking cracker?
I think if most people knew that moment was going to come during every prep, when you start to think and your mind wants to rationalize it, it's hey, that's where you nip it in the bud. Once you open Pandora's box, it's over. First cheat is the worst cheat. because that's the one that gives you an option. You never want the option. And so it's like, if you start giving yourself that option, your mind starts opening. Now there's an option, and you're screwed. It's over.
Well, if you take somebody who was never a drug addict or an alcoholic, and then they've never had to get sober or quit drugs, and then they have to start quitting sugar, and they don't know that they're a fucking sugar addict, so they're not ready for it. It'd be like, Nelson's going to love this analogy because he loves these Toddisms. So it's like, it's really hard to ward your haven. It's really hard to ward your castle versus demons if you don't believe in demons. So you're not going to put up the wards versus demons because demons aren't real. They just happen to be possessing everyone in your castle, and they're killing all your staff. So rather than saying, I'm not a food addict, there's no such thing as food addiction. Just go through an addiction course first and learn how to go without. And that life sucks and then you die. And that should be your mantra. And like, if you're miserable, you're not dead yet.
It's probably a pretty good attitude to have. You're miserable because you're feeling, and you're feeling because you're alive. Great point.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I get so irritated with that shit because I'll see it all over the place. Or you'll see the ones that coach hop, and then they'll talk shit about the coach behind the coach's back. They won't do it publicly. They'll just do it to all the people they know.
Yeah, which is worse.
That's fun.
In my opinion, that's worse than publicly, because heck, I've seen it where it's like someone makes a post and it's like clearly pointed at a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of people reach out like, dude, what are you talking about? He's not like that. Like, though, it's like you're just doing it all of your yes men around you.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they're not even going to say anything, whereas not to hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be,
Well, you vent to your people, and they know you're just venting, and they agree with you because they don't want to argue with you because you're just venting. It's like, back on the topic of the day, it's like lots of guys bitch about their wives and lots of women bitch about their husbands. It's not like they know that it's not in context, it's not proportional, and it's not rational. They're just venting because they're frustrated.
Yeah, right.
And so if you do it publicly, it's divorce. You do it publicly with your coach and you get fired.
Yeah.
But if you do it to just, you're like, then that's just like, people just let it go in one ear and out the other ear. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you're hungry. Oh, my kid just stabbed himself. I gotta go. And then, it's like,
what do you not like, Nelson? What pisses you off in the fitness industry?
It's a good question. I feel like, honestly, like and you don't meet everybody, but I feel like I've gotten to meet a lot of people who I click really well with, who I think are like, Andrew's a great example. Like, Andrew's a really nice guy, and it seems like I've had like the fortune of not really crossing paths with like a lot of people who I don't like. It's like everyone's been like super nice. Most people, and I know that's not the fitness industry. The fitness industry is full of like just shady, sketchy people. But
right.
I don't know. I've had like a pretty positive experience. I think that really, I've only run across like one person who I don't like, but as far as things that like upsetting, like at this point, I'd say like 90% of my clients work pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, and I guess probably the longer you do it, the more people you turn away. It's like the more like the clients start coming to you that are like already, set aside. Whereas, especially like if you have like a job and you're also coaching, you might get some people who like, you might get more beginners, or you might get, so like I don't typically get beginners.
No.
Which is nice because like, especially you don't have to explain all the stuff up front. It's like there's things I take for granted that I'm sure you guys would complain about. Like, I don't think you need a food scale. I don't think that.
You mean you do think that they need a food scale? It doesn't occur to you to tell someone to buy one.
It doesn't occur to me to tell someone to buy a food scale because you should have a food scale.
You already should have one.
It doesn't occur to
me. Bitch at me because he was mad that I assumed he knew that the bar was 45 pounds. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Not everyone knows how much the bar weighs. And then, like, it was on one of this live broadcasts, right? And so one of my former clients said, Todd, why don't you explain to us the difference between common sense and critical thinking? I'm like, okay, that's a perfect example. Thanks, Dan. I was like, common sense is that the bar weighs 45 pounds because it's something that everyone fucking knows. It's common knowledge. Critical thinking is if you're the one village idiot that doesn't know how much the bar weighs, you march your happy ass over to the scale, step on the fucking scale with the bar, and then set the bar down, and then subtract the weight without the bar from the weight of you with the bar, and the difference is the fucking bar.
Right.
And then
or ask.
No,
or you can just ask somebody.
Don't ask.
How much is the bar weigh?
Fucking asking.
I get that. I have more lifestyle clients right now than I have competitors, right? So I'll get that with a lot of the lifestyle clients. The competitors, not so much. Most of them have competed before, or at least a few times. I've only had a handful of first-time competitors in the last couple of years. For the most part, now I'm getting people that have competed a handful of times at least, and they're more serious about this than just like, I just want to do a show. Oh, great.
I have very few lifestyle. It's usually a friend of a competitor,
right?
And that's why I.
Can you help my friend out?
Can you help my friend? It's like, yeah.
I don't have the patience to help them.
Right, but I mean, like, generally, it's like I don't know. I don't think even most people recommend me to like, like their friends. It's like, listen, this isn't because like there's not this. It's not leniency that wouldn't be there with a competitor. It's like going to be the exact same thing for me because I only care about like getting better. That's all I care about. So if you're like, I don't know, if it's I had a soccer game, it's like, oh, I don't care.
Like I don't care.
It's like I just want you to get better. You told me you wanted to get better, so let's get better. Like I think what probably the thing that irritates me the most about this industry is supplement companies that either lie on labels, use cheap manufacturers that they know will lie and not put products in that people are paying for, and then promote it like it's some like that. To me is wildly irritating. And maybe even like the logic of some people who will pick on Redcon. Please don't sue me. This is allegedly Redcon. If everyone sells a container of isolate for $50, 5-pound container, but you go to Redcon and they're going to sell you a 5-pound container of isolate, you get a free hoodie, a free box of protein bars, and a pre-workout. Do you think that isolate is as good as the other? Probably not, because they're clearly selling this for way cheap.
And where are they cutting the cost?
Where are you cutting the corners, man? I
don't know. I think that in that case, they have a bunch of shit that's expiring, so they're trying to get rid of it because they can afford it because their margins are so good.
It's possible. I would have. The only reason I would ever challenge that, because that's a logical explanation, is the owner had trouble at Prime Nutrition, where he deliberately told them to keep the label the same when he swapped highly branched cyclodextrin with maltodextrin, and he knowingly did that. He kept the label the same, and he still sold it for the same freaking price.
Well, he took the teacrine out of that same product too.
Yeah, well, that was the other product, but yeah,
right.
They did that with a hammer.
Did Aaron Singerman own Prime Nutrition?
Yep.
I didn't realize that. So the Meadows,
Blackstone and Prime were him and PJ.
Yeah,
I didn't know that Prime it was them. Okay, huge. But I would think that since Aaron's been labeled as shady multiple times, he's kind of under scrutiny, so he needs to actually keep stuff up and up. Now
he might. I don't know.
But I have had to do that before. That I had some pre-workout that was pumping. And, for whatever reason, and it was like we were selling 4 containers for the price of 2, just to unload it because the inventory was going bad.
Sure.
And it's not because it didn't have good ingredients. We had the good ingredients. That's why it's clumping. That's what people don't understand.
That's a flash sale where it's like, okay, we're going to get rid of this stuff, in limited time only. The sales that he's talking about are they come out with a new fucking flavor and they do this and they're unloading all their inventory. Because that thing costs them like $5 to make.
They were giving away like belts.
Yeah.
Now it's like, and I don't mean to pick on them because like there's two companies that I always think of now when I think of like shady companies, and it's certainly not his. His probably is more on the up and up, but I don't know. That irritates me so much, especially it's like when I think about like when I was in college, and probably most people who buy like sports supplements, college students. It's like, dude, I didn't have any money.
Everything was bad back then. Everything was shit before 2014.
So
and then I started open label sourcing. Other companies started open label sourcing. Then Rich Piana started doing stuff open and honest and legit, and Rich single-handedly changed the whole supplement industry.
It's wrong. It's like you have people who can, like, let's say you, and especially when the people aren't taking gear and they're the ones who are going to try out all like the anabolic whatevers, like I did the same thing. So one of those things, like you might spend $200 on freaking supplements this month. Like $160 of it wasn't worth it.
Right.
It's crap. That's irritating, especially like, when you have so many clients, it's like, hey, I can afford this much a month. I can do this. It's like, I send them to like 3 different companies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't let them go other places because they're garbage. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like Project AD is fantastic. Mm-hmm. True Nutrition is awesome. I loved MPA Subs when Matt was running it, and now I have a couple qualms, but MPA Subs still like quality ingredients. That New Ethics company that Theobald runs, he works really hard. I feel like usually when like a bodybuilder gets a hold of a company, usually, not always, they're like, if it's a smart bodybuilder and not a meathead, usually they are doing it.
Yeah. I'll like for protein needs and stuff like that, I always tell them just go to True Nutrition to get it, because you're gonna get what you're paying for there at least. Dante is not gonna put shit ingredients in there. He wouldn't be around still, right. if he was. And then like with Jason with the New Ethics and stuff, like if I have like females that are having hormonal issues and stuff that have high estrogen stuff, I always recommend his EstroCort and his Cordes for them, because that's otherwise if they want pre-workout and shit, just buy Todd shit, because at least I know what the fuck's in it, and it's not junk.
And it just makes sense that it's like, especially if you're trying to support bodybuilders, and you have like a smart bodybuilder like Todd, why wouldn't you buy supplements?
Right.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's those degrees too.
Well, I said because they'll come to me a lot of times. So they're like, "Well, do you want me to buy the Valhalla Lab stuff?" Yes, I would prefer you're going to use the stuff that they have, and for the things that you need that they don't have, like protein powder, go to True Nutrition. If we need this, I'll send you to Jason for this stuff. The stuff that Todd doesn't make, but it's usually a lot of that. Most of the stuff it's True Nutrition or it's Theobald's line.
Yeah.
Sometimes with there's a couple things that Project AD has that Todd doesn't have too, that I've had people use.
Like what?
It's like all like
like what?
Well, with your fat burner is one mechanism, but his fat burner is another mechanism. So I can if they don't want to use like Clen, I can just alternate the two of them, and it works really well.
Okay.
So like a month and then a month and then a month and then a month, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, back and forth, because yours works on one platform, but the one that he makes kind of works like fucking ECA. So it's a good switch off.
He also has like Hudka and Astragalus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a whole line. He's got a whole line of shit that he doesn't really advertise.
Joe
Binley.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
That's the owner of Project AD.
I just think of it all as one person, because really, it's like when you're talking about, and a lot of these owners aren't public necessarily, but usually if you have an owner who's speaking out about his product over and over, you know by the integrity of the person if that product is going to be quality. So if you have a super like just crappy dude who's selling products, hey, guess what? You know how he screwed over all these people? He's probably going to screw you over with his supplements. You know,
if he looks like a used car salesman, he probably is.
Right.
You know.
So I mean, like in Joe, I mean, I feel like that guy doesn't stop working ever. And you know what?
No.
He gets products tested and posts stuff, and you know, I feel like that all that's important, and especially like freaking testing isn't cheap.
No.
So when you're going out like on a limb and throwing that stuff, like just for the benefit of other people, like it helps. It's not necessarily like necessary, like if you have quality stuff, but it shows you like, hey, we're successful, we have some money, we're going to test it so that you can see for your benefit. You know?
Well, not only that too, you get like a like with Project 80, right? I know enough pro bodybuilders that are sponsored by other companies that use Project AD stuff to know that it's quality ingredients. It's not just, you know, because he only sponsors a couple people, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a whole, like, he's got a fucking line of people. But then you've got like company A over here that's sponsoring bodybuilder A, and that bodybuilder's like, well, I don't use half of their shit because it's just fucking garbage. I end up selling it to my friends for you know, instead. But I use Project AD, and if they recommend something like that, if we're just talking about something and they're like, oh yeah, I use this my whole last prep, this is great, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, okay, well maybe there's something to that then.
It's funny. So I had a friend who was a pro getting ready for a show last year, and she posted a fat burner. And I'm like, hey, is that any good? She's like, I don't use this. Oh, well, I mean, you led me to believe you did. So.
Old story about Branch Warren when he was with Muscle Tech. His wife was sponsored by Gaspari. He used all of Gaspari nutrition products. He never used a single thing from Muscle Tech. He was giving all his Muscle Tech stuff that he was getting every month, boxes and boxes of shit, to Brian Dobson. And Brian was selling them at Metroflex. And they all said on the labels, not for resale. At the not for resale, because they were given as athlete sample products and stuff in full containers, and Brian was selling them out of the fucking gym to whoever. Branch would take him and give him to these kids to fucking detail his car and give him a bunch of Muscle Tech stuff. He wasn't using any of it. Jay never used it either. Jay Cutler never used that shit.
Oh, I've heard the story about Jay, but I was never sure. I do know, what was it? BSN. BSN had a couple athletes who would, like a couple younger athletes who would take stuff and then sell it on eBay. Mm-hmm. And you'd see just like, you know, every once in a while boxes of BSN stuff on eBay.
It was shit. It was powdered shit is all it was.
One thing, hold on, let's not condemn the whole company because Syntha 6 tasted like Nesquik. So
it tasted like Nesquik, and it didn't have any protein in it either.
Maybe not.
It was Nesquik. It was Nesquik. That's why.
It's funny because I had said something the other day. It was just to a friend. I'm like, oh, that was like the best tasting protein ever. And he's like, but was it really protein? I'm like, I don't know.
Probably not.
I drank a lot of it.
Well, if you get that protein that's still, you know, like it clumps up real bad, and it's just not there.
Nitrotech. That's the first supplement I ever bought was a container of Nitrotech. I went in to buy Celtech, but I came out with Nitrotech, and I remember I didn't have a shaker because no one told me I needed a shaker. It was the very first time buying protein ever. I was probably, I don't know,
you're trying to stir it with a spoon.
Oh yeah, I thought I could stir this with a spoon, and you had that powdery magma ball of just like
that was the only protein in it. The rest of it just only that one ball. That was all it was out of that scoop.
That was one of the worst tasting proteins.
Mm-hmm. MHP made their what was their weight gainer way back when. I can't remember the name of that one.
I don't remember the gainer. I remember Dark Matter. I remember
they had a weight gainer before that. There was a fudge brownie flavor, and it literally tasted like a fudge brownie milkshake if you put it with like almond milk or skim milk.
Yeah.
It's what it tasted like. And I'm pretty sure that it was nothing but fucking sugar and there wasn't a drop of protein in it anywhere.
It was a weight gain, so it's doing the job.
It's doing the job because it's all sugar and fucking and fat. Yes.
They could have put brownie batter in there. You're just drinking mixed up brownie batter.
What it was. It was probably brownie batter. The Mastech was the same way too. It tasted fucking great, but I'm pretty sure there was nothing in it.
Yeah. That's so funny. I haven't thought about old supplements in a while. Like
that shit was so bad.
Ultimate Nutrition. Ultimate Nutrition, their weight gainer, their 2544 weight gainer. They came in a fucking 10-pound plastic pail. And it had a fucking scooper, no shit, that looked like a fucking shovel. It was huge. And it was like 4 scoops. And I'm like, 4 scoops? What am I putting this in?
A blender.
That's the only thing you can get it in is a blender. Because you couldn't mix it.
Was Ultimate Nutrition the one that made muscle juice?
I think that's what it was. It's muscle juice.
Okay, so muscle juice was the worst tasting protein I've ever had in my entire life. I remember it was like a sample pack, and the pack was like thick. And it was mint chocolate chip. It tasted rancid. It was awful. That was as a bodybuilder, I have eaten tons of spoiled chicken. Mm-hmm. I have eaten my fair share of old like food in the fridge, and you're saving money. You gotta do what you gotta do. Muscle juice was the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth.
It's awful.
I still remember that because I'm like, I don't have any protein. I have this sample. Let me use the sample. And I was just like trying to gag it down.
Yeah, there was well, back in the time when that came out too was when they were spiking all their fucking a lot of their new shit with this was what it was. It was Muscle Juice 2544 with weight gainer.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I would rather have one of Todd's chicken shakes any day.
I bought that shit. It was the cookies and cream. He's going now. Yeah. It was cookies and cream. And I remember my ex-wife, this is years ago. This is fucking probably 12 years ago at least. And she's like, how are you supposed to get 4 scoops of that in anything that we have other than the fucking blender? And I'm like, I don't know. So I would blend this thing up and drink it. It'd take me 2 hours to drink, and it was the most disgusting thing I've ever drank in my entire life.
So at that point, what was the fucking point of buying the weight gainer when you could have just taken chicken?
So heavy.
And you could put chicken and rice and dextrose in the blender and just drink that.
27 years old and didn't know any better at that point.
If the point is a weight gainer, you literally could take 2 scoops of isolate, some milk, and a piece of cake in the blender. It would have been better.
Yeah.
You could just drink milk and cake. Eat cake and drink milk.
You can.
Yeah.
A fucking Bill Knapp's cake is, I think, 2,700 calories, and I can kill one of those.
How do you know the calories of a cake?
Because I would eat them. I would just eat all cake.
Sour Patch Kids by the fucking handful.
Yeah. I am the weirdest kid ever. Like, those Cinnamon Life commercials? Like, unless your kids are weird, they'll eat it. It's like, motherfucker, I'm weird and I eat this. I get so offended. I would be microaggressed by this commercial. I was like, I'm very weird. I'm weirder than that kid, and I love it.
Hold on. Okay, I got it.
Adams has nothing on me.
Because of your diet, I feel like I need to tell you mine right now.
Okay.
I'm eating. This is off season. I'm in the middle of the off season. I'm eating 275 grams of carbs. Because if I eat more, I'm going to get fatter.
How do you
get fatter? Okay. You understand?
No.
Normal life.
How do you gain weight? Teach me. It's like I can't.
Man, like I'm not trying. Like, I'm 220, not trying. Not trying.
How do you gain weight? This is
Todd eats. Can't.
I just keep losing weight. I'm down to 211. I was 221 last month. I'm down to 211. I've been shooting insulin and force feeding myself all day for a month. It's like I literally don't leave my room. It smells in here. I check. There's a bowl of ramen right here that's green with mold. I almost want to show you. It's
Don't do it. No.
No, but it smells like potpourri in my room. I was like, I don't have any air fresheners. It's rotting ramen that's green. Ramen turned green.
Someone's gonna come to Todd's house and say he's not fit to like house himself.
Right. I'm off all gear and I'm off all gear and
Child
only 155.
Yeah, dude. I mean, literally
protective services.
Yeah, like if I went to like let's say like 325 grams of carbs, I bet I would hold 3 pounds like up and be like, you know, I've been doing this and then I have a cheat meal on the weekend. I've just been like hanging out here. I just
like, what else do you eat except for 275 carbs?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I'm obviously eating food, but like my protein I pulled down, so I'm only eating 7 ounces a meal. So
6 times a day.
7 cooked, 6 times a day. So it's not
56 times 6, so it's going to be 336 grams.
Right, which is the least I've eaten in several years.
Okay.
So, and then fat is whatever's in the protein, and then I'll have a steak meal.
Right.
So really, it's not much. Like this is most people's like midway through, or I mean, normal people, Todd. Most normal people's midway through prep diet. But like, I don't really know. I didn't know when I was going to eat.
Hogwash.
So
we pulled. You want to hear mine?
Eating 2,800 calories.
I said midway, Keith. I didn't say finishing.
Do you want? Well, no. We pulled back. We pulled back because we're gonna get ready to prep. You wanted me to kind of ease back out after blasting for fucking 10 weeks and eating 6,000 calories a day. So,
crap.
oh yeah, I was when I say I wanted to fucking puke every meal, I wanted to puke after every meal.
Like, dude, I don't remember where I was. I was 6,000-7,000 probably, like around wherever that is. But like, but Justin like is mostly like, I mean, almost all clean food, right?
Yes.
So go ahead.
My projected diet for week 1 is going to be 4,800 on a high day with insulin. And then the other 3 days, I'm going to shoot for 4,000. And my calculated fat loss per week is going to be like 1.5 pounds. So in 10 weeks, I expect to lose 15 pounds of fat eating that without counting cardio, without increasing my reps and sets.
That's pretty amazing.
His metabolism's retarded.
That's projected. And once I'm up to full max capacity, volume, and cardio, so I'm doing 3 hours of weights and 2 hours of cardio a day, that's when I would start pulling down on the carbs.
Right. That's another thing. It's like I wouldn't be willing to train for 3 hours at that point. Now, like today I trained with 2 other people, and it takes longer. But like if I were in there by myself, like we were there for 3 hours. But if I train legs by myself, it's not going to take 3 hours. And if I went in for like an arm day or a chest day or something, dude, you couldn't pay me to stay in there for 3 hours. I'm done.
I'm about an hour and a half on a normal day, and maybe 2 hours on a quad day.
I'd say that's fair for me too. Like, well, to be honest, it's like lately, but I do train with 2 others, so it's almost always 2 hours, except for legs, which is a little more. But I mean, it's not like volume. It's pretty, you know.
No, you train the same way I do for the most part.
It's pretty low volume for most people, I would say. You know, it's 2 working sets.
That's I'm at 1 or 2 working sets right now per body part, and I'll just string together more moves. And then once I get back in, you know, when I'm blasting and I'm on everything and I'm eating them all, then I was doing 2 or 3 working sets, and they were to failure. It would be like 2 failure sets heavy and then back off. Or if I had to back off twice, I'd back off twice. Or I would do a rest pause, which counts as 2 failures, and then a back off.
So what my projected would be like, I'm streamlining everything right now, cutting everything down to one work set of like 6 to 10 reps, and then a back off set of 10 to 12 reps. And then when I'm actually planning on re-increasing my volume, my first step is to turn that back off set into a cluster set.
Yep.
And then the next phase would be to make there be 2 cluster sets for back off sets. And then I'd start incorporating new exercises.
So you periodize it down as you start, and then start like pulling the volume up.
Well, if I'm losing weight and eating the most amount of food possible, I add more rest days and reduce my volume.
Makes sense.
So I don't drop exercises. I just reduce everything to one work set and one back off set. And I train every 48 hours.
That's cool because oh yeah, you told me that.
So the point is in order to increase my fat loss, all I have to do is add back in the volume I took out and then collapse the week down into every 24 hours instead of every 48 hours. And I've just drastically increased my metabolic output.
Yeah, you treat training as a variable, and I treat it more as a constant. So that's where I guess, like, obviously I'm sure if I did that, it's like I would be able to eat more. It's logical. But it's funny, it's like I'm not someone who can project, oh, by this time I should be eating around it. I'll pull out, let's say, 25 grams of carbs, which should elicit X response. And it might be 3 weeks before I see that response.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I don't know if it's that I'm very I guess that I adjust very easily and kind of acclimate to the diet super easily, or what the case is. But and honestly, the best results I've seen were maxing out cardio at 40 minutes.
Right. I would never do more than 40 minutes of functional cardio on equipment at a time, but I usually would do 2 hours of walking outdoors every night.
Sure. And that's, that's smart. But I feel like in the past, I've pushed the cardio thinking like that's where I need to go, or being told that's where I need to go. And usually I get worse. Like when I hit 90 minutes, I'm not really getting better. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was doing the last prep. We were up to 90 minutes of cardio.
Yeah,
on about 1,700 calories.
I would do like 40. My plan this time was using the Cybex Arc again because that worked in 2019 better than it did in 2020. Doing 40 minutes on the Cybex Arc, and then doing 10 minutes pre-lift and 20 minutes post-lift for 70 minutes on the Cybex Arc a day, and then having about 90 minutes to 2 hours of walking outside at night.
Yeah.
After my last meal or before my last meal.
Fuck.
It's a lot, man. I mean, but it's the people who do end up, like, you see guys who do like lots of steps or just lots of walking, and almost none of them have to do real cardio.
Well, I do 15 to 20,000 steps a day at work.
God.
In 9 hours. Yeah, I'm all over the place. And I'm still doing 90 minutes of cardio.
I sit on my couch.
Shape.
I sit on my couch from, let's say I drop my daughter off, I like maybe like 4 or 5 hours to do all programs that I can in the morning as far as updates.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym from 2 to 4, 2 to 5. I pick up my daughter, come back, I eat, and then I sit on the couch till 11 o'clock and finishing updates. It's like almost every day. It's funny because like I used to be more active. It's like more clients you get, it's like the more
that just becomes full time, right?
You know, so I don't really know. It's funny. It's like as that's become extremely sedentary. I've thought about standing desk, or something like that. But I would imagine that. I mean, and I'm staying much leaner now, so like that is a benefit of not eating a ton. But it makes me wonder, oh crap, where's prep going to be? You know, prep's usually I'm decent at 125 grams of carbs. Decent.
Mm-hmm.
With a good bit of cardio, but I'm not 125 grams of carbs. I am not in shape at that point. Ever.
Right.
Ever. So
No.
Never below 200.
never been below 200. He's like,
If I go below 200, I just snap. And I'm eating I'm going to the store. I'm buying 10 donuts. I take one bite from the donut and then I throw it in the garbage and I take a bite from a different donut.
Or he finds the dog food in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
oh yeah, or the dog food. Yeah. So that's funny. It's like for him to not be taking in like, whatever X amount every hour, he has to be asleep. He's like, I diet at night.
I think sometimes though that the reason why I have to do as much cardio as I do is because of how many steps I take during the day. My body's used to it by now. I've been doing this for 20 years. My body is legitimately used to being on my feet, moving around. Like that's just the way it is. And it's not that big a deal. And then for me to 20 minutes of cardio, I don't see hardly any kind of fucking response. We've got to get 20, 30, 40 minutes of cardio and start pushing it day after day.
What you're saying is you need a GH drip, right?
Pretty much.
You wheel that thing around.
I think that's probably the best.
You just have lipolysis all the time.
Insulin GH in a feeding tube directly into my stomach.
Would you have a basal insulin? Because now, like, if you're going to take in insulin, then you're going to take growth hormone all day. I don't know.
Yeah, because we got up to like say 5,500 to 6,000 on a training day.
That's a lot of food, man.
And I'm walking, not doing any cardio at all, and doing 15 to 20,000 steps a day, and my weight is just kind of doing this, where it should have gone like this right away, and it didn't. It was just really, really slow, gradual. Went from 240 to 262 over the course of about 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny. I think like when I knew I was not, I was like, I dropped T3 out, and I put my carb from like whatever, 75 or something to 150 or maybe it was even 200, and it was just like weight just went up linearly for 2 months.
Yeah, just by pulling that out.
Yeah.
No, I struggle. I mean, I struggle to come down. It's a fucking chore. But I normally don't struggle to put on weight like you. I mean, if I eat a certain amount of carbs, it's going to shoot up.
Yeah.
But once I get to a certain point where I hit that threshold, then it starts to crawl.
Right.
In both directions.
Yeah. I think I have that too, but it's like that point is fatter than I'd like to be.
Yes.
So, like, I'm at a comfortable body fat right now.
Yeah, me too.
Where I see all of my abs. I have veins in my legs. My glutes they're not in, but it's like, it's like, it doesn't look like an apple or something. When you see like fat button leggings, like that kind of thing. It doesn't look like that. It's like, I can see they look like glutes, there's not a line in it. But I feel like right now it's like, okay, I could get ready for show in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which, I got outline of abs standing there at all times. You can see my abs; they're there, and you can you still get to the point where in the morning where you can tell if you're fucking dry or not.
Right.
I always tell people when you get to the point where you can't tell if you're dry or not, that's when you're too fat.
Yeah, when you spill over, it doesn't make a difference.
Right. You don't even notice that you've had a gallon and a half of water and you've eaten fucking 5 meals today, but you don't notice that difference between that time and the morning. Yeah. When those two pictures don't look any different, then you've gotten to the point where you're just not lean enough anymore. So I'll usually keep myself or try to keep it in check where it's at. And Justin's pretty good about looking at it and go, oh, yeah, we're good. I'll pull back here. All right, we're going to add some more. Just kind of slowly adding things in where needed. But I'm at the point where it's outline of abs. You can tell that you're dry in the morning. Quads have lines in them. My delts still have little lines and stuff. When I move them around, I can still see separation and stuff in there. So we're good. I still have fucking full veins in my arms all the way back behind my triceps. I can still see everything there. So,
even with all the synthol?
Yeah, okay, whatever. Never used a fucking bit of synthol in my life.
I have.
I've never done it.
It was a really bad idea. I shouldn't have done it. I did in 2016. It was the worst they'd ever looked.
Was your arms?
Yeah, it was awful. It was so dumb. I think I did it in 2016, and then I let it go totally, whatever. And then 2017, I had the great idea. I'm like, man, I'm just gonna try it again. I probably did it wrong. No, it's just a dumb idea.
Just no. I've site injected, but I've never used synthol. Like I've gone where I'm trying to find places to put this shit because you're pinning every day in prep, and it's fucking 6 weeks out, and you're pinning every fucking day at this point, and it's like, okay, where the hell am I gonna put it now? Oh, tricep, a little bit in each. Oh, bicep, all right, a little bit in each. I've done that.
Yeah.
You get a little swelling.
Sure.
You pin it on the day you're training it, and it's fucking, you get a nice little pump out of the deal, and it hurts a little bit. You get some cramping, but it's not like it does anything for you as far as volumization over time. I don't really think that.
No, I think it helps with my muscle. So you might be able to feel the muscle a little better.
It's true.
But
we've talked about this before. I'll never do my traps again, and I'll never do my calves again. That was the fucking worst thing. The worst idea ever.
Just thought about that the other day because I don't know. I had a muscle knot. And like I was getting a massage and she was like getting it out. She's like, "Oh, it's like, did you put anything in here?" I'm like, "No." It's like no gear or anything. Just a knot. And she's like, "Okay." She's like, because I was thinking like you have room on your traps to do it. I'm like, I don't think I'm going.
Fuck. No, that is the one thing. It took me to my knees instantly, and it was like pop, 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 trying to get it down. And they're like, "Oh fuck!" I'm like screaming.
It's kind of something I imagine Todd would do.
You ever injected your traps?
No.
Okay.
That sounds
about
horrible.
your calves. About your calves. Okay. No. Don't do that. No, just my advice. Don't.
Because I would imagine it'd be like with his titrating, he's like, yeah. Well, today I'm going to do this much, and then on Wednesday I'm going to do this much, and then I'm going to. It's like you do like with an insulin needle, so it's like you have to. It's like I'm like getting the muscle used to this.
That's exactly how I would do it too.
It's exactly. Oh, that's still the worst experience of my life. Was that?
I would go and I would do 20 mil, 2 on the insulin syringe bilaterally.
Yeah.
And then I would keep track of that, and then I would try to do the middle traps. I would have to have someone do it for me, and I would
meet there
and get a massage therapist or someone to use like a Theragun on the spot. I would have it really anal. It would be quite extraordinary. The level of thought, planning something. Yeah. And then be like,
no.
Why don't you use alcohol swab? I'm like, because that's perfect. And they're like, so you use an insulin syringe, but you won't use a real syringe, but you don't use alcohol because alcohol is. And you're like, yes.
Yes. Diabetics don't use alcohol swabs, so
you're fine.
Well, it was funny because I was like, "You're not using alcohol swabs," I said to somebody, and they're like, "I've been doing this 25 years. I've never gotten an infection." And I was like, and they're like, he's like, "The stuff you learn in school, none of that's real." And I was like, and when I found out that all of those types of sanitary procedures are not concocted by doctors, they come from nurses. I'm like, well, in that case, I'm not doing anything.
They know what the fuck they're talking about.
Nurses, then they all think masks are real, and they like the liberal post on Facebook have made it very clear that nurses don't have any fucking idea what they're talking about.
No. I don't use alcohol at all.
I do.
I get in the fucking shower. I'll take a shower. I pin whatever I'm pinning. Wipe it off with some toilet paper. And go on about my business. Let it clot.
I use alcohol swabs for real ones, but not for insulin needles.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Never had an infection. Never had a problem. Just using a needle. New needle and syringe.
Yeah, well, I hope
you're worried about that.
And my bathroom's clean, right? So there's that. and I just took a shower, so technically I'm clean. So, what do you think? I mean, unless I got like rusty water coming down that I don't know about.
I'll use the same insulin syringe for like 2 weeks. I don't even care.
Oh my god!
It's just the doctor.
It's because I know the probability of actually getting infection so low. It's not worth considering. that I'm more likely to have Thanos show up and shoot me with the Infinity Gauntlet than I am to get up the infection.
You use probability.
Oh,
Whether or not you'll get it.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
All right, this podcast is a shit show. All right,
It's like, what's more likely is I'm going to get an infection after 12 years doing the exact same thing. Today's the day, or Thanos is going to throw a crushed moon at me. My money's on Thanos.
It's funny because like the longer you do it, the percentage of time it hasn't happened gets greater. So it's like it starts to support the theory more and more. But it's kind of like there's an X amount of probability that there will be a bomb on an airplane.
Yep.
But if you bring your own bomb, that probability goes down.
Because there's no chance of there being two bombs.
No
Exactly. Me too. Yeah. That's
Statistically, it's highly unlikely.
Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. We've been on this for 2.5 hours now.
It's been wonderful.
That's been awesome. This is so much for this is the best impromptu show we've ever had.
I think so.
All right.
I think so.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Nelson. This has been the Weekly Grind podcast, sponsored by Valhalla Labs at valhalla-labs.com and Kodiak Bodybuilding at kodiakbodybuilding.com. And I got this nice new fresh clean shirt that they sent me here. All shipping is free. And let's see, next week, well, we're recording with Ivana Vucic on Tuesday night next week. So she had to reschedule. She was supposed to be for tonight originally, but she is in Dallas at Destination Dallas. She had to fly out for that. I think it was like a last minute thing too. So she rescheduled for next Tuesday. So we got her, we got Guy, and we got John Meadows coming up.
Awesome.
So, all right, man. Thanks, Nelson. Appreciate it.
Guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.